the bits you've shared from Tales of Arise look dope.
It feels really good.
That was very funny.
It feels really good so far. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna talk a bunch about it. I'll mention it offhand as something I'm playing.
Yeah.
Type.
Does it feel better than Berseria?
God, yes.
Thank God.
The combat feels like Ys.
Oh shit.
And like it's actually like you if you get hit, they hit you like a fucking truck and they mean it. So yeah, this is not previous Tales games where you get hit and you can just keep getting hit. This is a game where you get hit and you're pulling back because you've also got a lot of limited resources with regards to healing.
Interesting.
That sounds like actual action game.
Oh yeah,
of Tales game.
Dude, the first 2 fights in the game beat my fucking ass.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. All right, we are tweeterized out. Oh,
I think this is good. I'm going into this with a good mood. I just finished reading somebody's story draft and then yapped about it for like 20 minutes.
Oh, nice.
So I was a little while reading it. So getting it done and then having the ending be really good was just like, yes,
nice.
Feels good.
I'm gonna go grab a refill on my water.
We'll allow it.
You can talk while I'm gone. It's fine. I'll permit it.
I went and got some water too.
Oh, okay.
I think
I sat here in dead silence.
With that lovely sound to bring you back to reality.
There you go. Get shocked back in.
Yeah, there you go. You want to jump back in? That'll do it.
You know that meme image of a guy doing a bunch of dominoes and they get bigger?
Yeah.
There's a GIF version of that.
Oh?
It's an actual video. So I just sat and watched that for like 30 seconds.
There you go.
How do I don't even know if this will work.
I did a full cackle during a meeting this week.
Oh, no.
And the guy next to me just went, Jesus fucking Christ. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I shocked him.
That fucking kills me.
He like jumped a little bit. I was like, oh no.
That's real good. That's real good. I bet that happened. I bet you do that a lot in theaters and people are just like, shh. I bet you get shh a lot in theaters, don't you? You strike me as that. You strike me as that guy.
Yes.
Okay.
A few times.
Yeah.
Just a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt very self-righteous about it for a while.
Uh-huh.
Because I was like, it's not like I'm not invested in the movie. I'm reacting to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine. And at a certain point I was like, maybe I can pull it back a little
Maybe
bit.
you could pull that back just a little. Not in meetings though. That's funny. No, always do that during meetings.
Yep. I mean, it was a good joke.
It is.
If people can't handle me at my cackle, then they don't deserve me at my. I'm trying to think of a positive trait.
Look at that. That's a great GIF right there, man.
It's a great GIF. It's fine. I can be left hanging. Can't. People don't. Yeah, it's fine. People don't deserve me at my cackle, then they don't deserve me at my good thing.
Yeah. There was somewhere you could have gone with that, but just kind of Might need a little prep work.
I've got my Excel spreadsheet up.
Oh, good.
Chat about. Oh, this will be a fun one.
It's going to be the most exciting episode you've ever heard. You hear that, people? Excel spreadsheets. Huh? Who's excited?
I hear the clicking too of the spreadsheet.
I mean, last week on ESPN at like 2 a.m, they were having the Excel spreadsheet like Olympics or some shit. Like there's an actual competition. There's an actual competition for doing spreadsheet shit. So
good.
That could be you someday. That could be you someday.
Showing us a GIF of like a really cool spreadsheet and just this could be us, but you playing. Boop, 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 boop. Click, 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 click. Clickety click.
Jetstorm's doing side quests. Don't worry, Red is too.
Jetstorm.
Red's got his Switch and handheld mode. He's sitting here grinding out some side quests.
I'm scared to look at that game in handheld mode, given how it runs normally.
I see, like, that's the thing. It's like, I love seeing how games run in handheld mode because I think that it's very funny sometimes. Like,
I played a lot of...
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in handheld mode. Even in early game was just,
it's like... Is it even 480p?
I think it might be a little lower.
Yeah, it might be like 376 or something.
Like even docked, I've seen some stuff for XC3 that's just, that's bad. That's not even video compression either. No, they're actually just downsizing those fucking assets to make this work.
It's a very demanding game running on the Switch. It's very impressive.
Yeah. Switch.
Yeah.
Poor Switch.
Yeah, it's the game I thought that they would launch with like a Switch 2 or something.
Yeah, like that you could hear that console screaming bloody murder. Like I guarantee if you feel the top of your Switch, like the heat coming out of that little vent would be wild.
One of the first things I read before I had actually played it, but when it launched was, hey, some people's Switches are resetting when playing this game docked, and I'm like, cool.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, cheapers.
I don't know how widespread that was.
My PS4 sits close to like curtains that are closed on a window, and the last couple of days I played a bit of Tales of Arise, and when that thing is going, for one, my PS4 sounds like a jet taking off, but I can see my curtains swaying with the air coming off of the PS4. It's blowing. It's throwing that much hot air out.
Oh my god! I thought you were gonna say you could see like the heat vapors like distorting.
No, I can see it just like blowing the curtains.
Oh man!
Like holy, you've got like a fucking oscillating fan sitting there or something. Like, nah, shit's really going back there, ain't it?
Oof.
Sometimes these games are a little more demanding than the consoles are maybe spec'd for.
The console generations are so long now.
I know.
Well, the PS5 came out like almost 2 years ago now.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Really?
I haven't seen one.
Was it 20? I think it was 2020. It definitely wasn't last year.
Who can even say, because nobody has one? We would never know.
Yeah, so get ready for this gen to be like, if it's already like about 2 years, like what are we talking, like a 10-year generation again?
I wonder. I just really wonder. Anyway, weird. Who cares about consoles? Consoles are stupid. Nobody likes them. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Sockscast episode 159. And hey, this week, big milestone coming up on the 24th. We'll have been doing this for 8 years.
Oh my god.
Yep. Our first episode was August 24th, 2014. We recorded it a few days earlier, but that was when we first launched in 2014
into the world.
Yeah.
I was thinking we're not that far off from being able to have like a list of 10 game of the years.
Yeah.
And rank our game of the years.
And then rank the games of the we'll do that after the 10th one.
Oh fuck, that's good. That's really choice, actually.
Yeah. We'll
Is
do
there?
that.
There is not an easy list of what games we pick.
Well,
is
there's
there?
a real easy thing that we can do, and then that Homestuck is not a video game, so we can toss that just right out the window.
And John's 9.
Yeah.
We've got 10. And
Probably did that one year, right? Just pick 9.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
but the number 1 still counted. Your number 1 is disqualified.
Yeah.
What was my number 2 that year?
Well, that's something you'll have to find out later.
We'll find out. We'll find out in the future when.
Oh, actually, I think it was
Ghost
Shovel
one
Knight.
of those year.
Oh yeah, it was Shovel Knight.
It was Shovel Knight.
I think it was Shovel Knight. Specifically, Spectre of Torment.
Yeah, Spectre of
Obviously,
Torment.
everyone's favorite.
Yeah. All right. So anyway,
I have very strong opinions about the relative merits of the 4 different Shovel Knight expansions.
and we don't want to hear a single fucking one of them.
All right, well, fine.
Am I the only one? I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that played all of them.
I played everything but King of Cards.
Yeah.
Okay,
even though
Brad is the only one that played all of them.
You're the one that liked Spectre. I'm the one that kept going after it anyways.
I thought Spectre of Torment was fine.
I thought King of Cards was fine and Spectre was kind of mid.
I saw somebody post a funny video about how mid is such a dumb word.
Yeah.
It's just because it's like new slang. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's new slang, and everybody runs
I
into
like
the
it.
ground, and everybody likes to. Yeah, I get it. But hey, everybody, welcome to a show. I want to start first. I want to start that episode. A serious moment. For those that were here for our last episode and those that downloaded it, I would like to issue an apology. If you listened to that episode, you may have noticed that I was pretty checked out during that episode. Just mentally and physically, I was exhausted from dealing with a month of just a lot of personal stuff. Just a lot of anxiety I was trying to get in check, and I had, gotten to a point of where I was doing that, but I was, still really mentally and physically tired from dealing with all that. So rather than pushing the episode, I knew that Rhett and John have all this stuff they want to talk about, so even if I don't participate, it's not a big deal. But that episode came off like I was just really disinterested and kind of shitty, and I know a lot of people would say, oh, you don't need to apologize for that. But I do, because I am the very first person that will always say that if something isn't fun, I'm not going to do it. And I did it anyway. And I didn't really, my head wasn't in the game, and I didn't really live up to my own kind of standards there with regards to the way that we should present ourselves and the way that we should engage with things that we do for fun online. So apologies for the bad episode. That will never, ever happen again. If I've even got an inkling that an episode isn't going to go well, I'm going to just call it off. So yeah, that will never happen again. So again, sincerest apologies for that. Hey,
Lots of love.
lots of love all around. But yeah, just wanted to get that out there. Felt real bad about that. So it'll never happen
Peter
again.
says Polly apologizes for being mid last episode.
I deserve that. I'll take it. I deserve that shit.
Apologizing when you were, not in the great mindset. That's pretty based.
Yeah. Me and Red are like the worst people to be using these words because we are the ones that sound like old head ass people using them.
Hey, you know what I realized?
I wonder why you sound old using slang. Can't be that you are old.
No, it couldn't be.
Okay, if I'm wrong seeing kids use Blorbo, then I don't want to be right. I'm not joking on that one.
Blorbo?
Blorbo is like the new Kin character.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not kidding.
No, that's the joke. I Googled it. It just refers to when you see a new character become really popular on the dashboard, you don't know who they are.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of
like Homer on my feed.
What's Scrimblow then?
I have no idea.
Scrimblow is like random old video game characters that people, because people that the joke with that one was Nintendo fans when they announce the new Smash character and it isn't Scrimblow Bimblow.
Oh, right.
So Scrimblow is an obscure video game character people are weirdly invested in, and apparently Blorbo represents every rando character you keep seeing on your dashboard, celebrated in painfully sincere terms by some quasi-stranger. Rhett, you retweet a lot of Blorbos, my friend.
You actually do. So the Scrimblow thing, I think the guy that coined that phrase actually also, like, a bunch of people reported him and he got banned from Twitter for it.
Oh, God.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's Nintendo fans.
Nintendo fans are kind of stupid.
Nintendo fans, when you make fun of them for loving Scrimblow Bimblow.
Yeah. Like, it was apparently, like, they tried to say it was a slur. Like, they said, like, you're referring to our characters as slurs now. It's like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, the dude that coined that term apparently got banned from Twitter for it. I don't know if he ever got his account back, but I do remember watching a stream and somebody saying, yeah, that guy got banned, and then they showed the account. I was like, shit.
What is happening on the internet?
Nothing good. Nothing good. To my immediate virtual right, voted Mr. Excitement for the 8th straight year in a row. It's Red.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Are you bringing that Mr. Excitement heat?
Yeah, he is. Like, he's new. We got, like, it's 8 times in a row, baby. We're cruising into the 9th easy. Like, he's just like, he's looking for the 9-peat now.
Versus how every episode starts where you're like, how you doing, Rhett? And I'm like, I'm doing good.
I'm good. Okay. Okay. Ready for a podcast. Rhett,
It's always a really funny response to whatever fucking intro you come up with.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, no matter what I come up with, it's always gotta be, yeah, that works.
He fucks 6 waves from Tuesdays. It's Rhett. Hi. Doing okay.
You're ready for a podcast, though. You're ready here.
I am.
Got your talking mouth on.
Oh, let me switch that out.
Well, you got your talking mouth and your bedroom mouth. That's what I've got 2 of them.
Oh.
What's the difference between your talking mouth and your bedroom mouth?
Put way more dicks in the bedroom mouth.
Ha.
Just saying. What? Am I going to make up something? Oh, no, I eat hamburgers with the bedroom mouth. Can't eat hamburgers in your bed. You get crumbs and grease all over the place.
Oh, God. I remember eating food in bed is not a good strat.
Don't do it. I don't endorse it.
I'm just thinking, it's been a long time since I tried something indulgent like that.
Yeah, like that's just no.
Well, I'll eat grapes, and then even grapes, which seem like they're pretty tidy, will like leave little stemmy bits, and I'll be like,
Like, it's somebody's idea. Like, if somebody ever stayed over with me and did tried to bring me breakfast and bread, I would take the fucking tray and throw it in their face and be like, what the fuck are you trying to do? You fucking terrorist!
If my TV faced my bed, I would live in there.
Oh no! This is the power that this ideal has over Rhett, and that he's just like living through sheer willpower of not doing that.
Yeah.
To my immediate virtual left, he's cocaine's Dr. Seuss. It's John Thayer.
That's me.
It is.
I always say
that's your catchphrase.
Between big hits of rhyming cocaine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just you do so much
I'll
cocaine.
take hits of anything that rhymes with cocaine. That's why it's the Dr. Seuss thing. So
yeah, like propane.
Red, what's something that rhymes with cocaine that would be funny to snort?
Propane.
Propane. All right, that's a good one.
Polly already had
That'd be very lethal, I would imagine.
That's you got to be a pro. You got to be a pro at it.
Got to be like, look, if you were cocaine's Dr. Seuss, I imagine you're probably okay with a little bit of propane.
I'll bust up my PS1 disc and grind it to a fine powder and snort some Zidane.
I don't know that you want that Zidane. Man, it's fucking fun. You would snort if there was a video game so good that you could snort it like drugs. What would it be? What game is so good that you would act like, and you could get a high off of it? If you
Rumble Saver for the Game Boy. I feel like that. I feel like you get a weird one from that one.
Right?
You get a weird good high from that one.
See, I have a game in mind for John, but it's something he'll probably be talking about on this episode.
Okay. Mine would be Space Giraffe.
Yeah,
I would snort the shit out of Space Giraffe.
That is a psychedelic right there.
Yep.
That'll do it.
The game is already classified as a drug.
Yep.
God, there's a lot of words that rhyme with ain. I'm not gonna continue that one, but
yeah. I mean, it could be your Travis bit. Like, it's not really funny, but we'll go with it.
You see, that's exactly it. My brain was like, if I just keep doing that,
that's a Travis bit.
You see, you went for the McElroy, Doug, and I held back on making a joke about you being checked out of the podcast.
Shit! Oh shit! I think that one would have been way funnier. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, other podcasters are checked out for 3 years and they don't say anything.
I was checked out for one episode, and I literally over here wanting to throw myself on the guillotine. Everybody else is just like, "What? You you're like Polly. You finally ascended. This is true podcastdom. You're doing it right finally."
You know what sucks? You know what really sucks is that
my bedroom mouth.
They announced the next, that too, but also they announced the next Taz campaign, and it's going to be Justin DMing, and they specifically want it to be very irreverent and silly. And I'm like, no,
that's going to be the most insufferable thing anybody has ever committed to tape.
Polly, that sounds a lot better than what they've been doing because it's very extremely serious monologue stuff.
Oh.
So that sounds a lot. That sounds pretty good. Actually, the Justin Taz bonus episodes are like some of the best content.
It's the perfect time to jump back in.
See, I've
been like 6 months clean.
See, I've just stayed so far away from that sphere over the last 3 years, and I'm just making jokes off of stuff that I hear through osmosis, and it's like, oh hey, Travis bad. Okay, that's my joke. Anyway, we got a podcast of our own to do, so why would we talk about mediocre podcasts that literally nobody wants to listen to? Who wants to go first?
This is great professional energy. I'm sure, like, if this was a big podcast, this would go
This would go over real well with the sponsors. Anybody that would be considered our contemporaries. Like, who would our contemporaries be anyway?
Like this counts as punching up.
Who's good enough? Who's good enough to be our contemporaries?
We accidentally started a fandom war.
That's the next great Sockscast saga, the fandom war. We finally made it. All right, all 4 of our fans out there, I want you to get ready. Dawn, I know you're listening. Get the pitchforks ready. We're going podcast hunting. I don't know what that
I just saw Tom's comment that was sponsored by Morning Meat. Meat you can eat in bed.
All right, somebody talk about stuff, or do I talk about stuff?
I'll go first.
All right, John,
okay.
You talk about stuff.
I finished Kaguya-sama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So the 3rd season of Kaguya-sama Love is War. For a good stretch of time, the most highly ranked show on myanimelist.net.
Number 1 out of number 1.
Which checks out because it is the best show ever made. Mm-hmm. And I don't need anything else. And all I need is Kaguya-sama from now until the end of time because it's perfect. And I really loved it a lot. The whole show's so fucking funny still. I just laugh myself hoarse watching this show, which is not usual with comedy shows. And then the best part is that they completely bring it home and have a legit, really satisfying ending. Like,
interesting.
If this is the series finale, I will be at peace. They set it up in such a way that they can keep it going.
Of course.
And the mangas, it's like a third into the manga, so they could keep it going forever. But if this was the series finale, I would leave very satisfied. I don't really need to dig into it much more than that.
Yeah,
it's still just an outrageously funny show. And I just loved every bit of it, and I'm real glad I went on that journey. And just absolutely better than Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood by exactly 1 popularity unit, I think. I've got another segment. We can do that one later. The last several days, I went on, out of all things, I just went on a Super Nintendo binge.
The SNES is like when I was like, well, we talked about it before the show, but like I did a mod on my NES Mini where I put all the games on it, and then I was like, well, I can do that to my SNES Mini too because it's the same process. But I was sitting there, I was like, what did I really play for NES like that I would want to go back and play though? Like, I mean, there's the big games obviously, but like I'm thinking like. I don't really have a lot of diamond in the rough SNES games that I would go back to.
See, this is funny because my exact energy I was bringing in here was like, for some reason, I convinced myself that I didn't like the SNES very much, but the SNES is fucking great.
Jeez, yeah. It's kind of regarded as the best console ever in some circles.
And because I'm surrounded by a bunch of NES heads and I'm surrounded by a bunch of Genesis heads, Polly's a big part of that. I've got other friends who have done a very good job of singing the praises of the other consoles, and also a lot of friends with very nice, very earned, good contrarian takes on beloved SNES classics. Like we on this podcast have dunked on Super Mario World. We've dunked on Super Castlevania 4 extensively.
Yeah.
Justly. I tried playing that game last year, and I was really bored and annoyed the whole time.
Yeah.
Like. The SNES is where kind of battery saves became a very normal thing, and they became a very normal thing for like action games.
Yeah.
So suddenly you have a bunch of platformers that are, instead of being, like something you can run through in an hour, they're suddenly like 3 hours long, and they have a bunch of collectibles. And instead of trying to clear them without dying or clear them in whatever fun challenge way you come up with, the goal is to clear them, finding all 100% of the secrets. And that resulted in a lot of kind of bad approaches, bad design paradigms that continue to this day. And in a lot of ways, you can look back and be like, Mario World ruined video games forever.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's like, you know what? I would proudly stand behind like as a belief system, or as just a belief that of this podcast, and that Super Mario World destroyed video games. I think that like I would get behind that as sort of our creed.
Certainly destroyed platformers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Play a platformer now. Try to play a modern platformer that hasn't been poisoned, that at its core by collectathon bullshit.
Yeah, I liked Hat in Time.
Sorry,
I know this is fair.
It's funny because I did like that ukulele game a lot.
The 2D one,
and I did have a lot of fun grabbing a lot of those extra coins. So.
I played Donkey Kong Country 2 last year, and I actually really liked it. I liked it a whole lot. It was my first time playing the whole thing.
Oh, hell yeah, DKC 2. DKC 1 and 2 hold up really well.
Yeah, I played them back to back, and I kind of had a really good time, actually. It, like, sometimes you want the collectathon bullshit. Sometimes you want that good save point platform.
Isn't DKC 2 the one where there's just one big coin in each level?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Like, that's the most restrained collectible kind of thing.
Especially when you consider where Rare would go literally 2 years later.
Whoops.
Water went down. Yeah, right.
From the super restrained Donkey Kong Country 2 to Banjo, and then DK64, like, oh, okay, there's a point where you needed to stop, and it was a while ago.
Yeah.
So, clearly, Super Nintendo ruined platformers. There isn't anything that's just like, there aren't any games that are just like fun little short adventures like you'd have on the NES or Game Boy. Like, where's the gimmicks? Like you talked about, like, I can just look down a list of NES games that have like that exact energy. It's like, just sit down, play through it, have a great time.
Yeah.
Like and it's the non-canonized stuff, the stuff people don't talk about. You talk about Gimmick, talk about Journey to Silius, talk about Hebereke, talk about any Sunsoft game. Is what I'm saying.
Like it's definitely like it's something that definitely fell out of favor when the SNES rolled around, because even the Genesis still had a lot of games with that energy.
Genesis still has a lot of it. Game Boy has a ton of it.
Oh yeah.
You can sit down with a Game Boy and play a ton of Metal Storms. You can play a ton of Metal Storms on the Genesis. You're not locked into these handful of very long scoped canonized games.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really the case with the SNES either, though. The SNES does have quite a few. I mean, so here's what I played in the past
I thought we were doing
3
this
days.
segment later.
No, there's something else later.
Okay, I thought like the SNES segment was later, and then we just accidentally jumped into it.
No. The other segment's later.
Okay.
So I'm doing the SNES one first.
Okay.
Oh, I think I know why.
So the last 3 days,
I
You want to bury it several hours deep into the podcast.
I want to bury it in such a way that people can dip and not miss out on any of y'all's content.
We can make that segment last if you want.
Fuck. So I played Disney's Goof Troop, which I had as a kid.
Aw.
This is just a cute little game.
Yeah,
this
it
is
is.
a cute little game.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I played it as a kid, and I think I got as far as level 4. It's only 5 stages.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
It's so cute.
It's a block pushing game that I like.
Yeah. It's very fun to play 2-player.
Oh, God,
I just
yeah.
played it single player, and I still had a ton of fun. And then the last couple stages, like it kind of grows some teeth in a nice way. So I got to the end, and it was honestly very tense. I beat the final boss on my last life, and I was like, oh shit, cool. It's still very easy, but like it's nicely balanced at being like a gentle kids game. I think like you can do that. You can make a short, breezy kids game.
Yeah.
That is just very good at being that. And I think this is that.
Yeah.
So I played that and it was just like, I don't remember why. I think it was just like, I didn't feel like sitting down with a long RPG or watching a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's just play Goof Troop. I think I'd heard something, it came up on my feed like earlier in the week and I was like, fuck it, let's play Goof Troop.
Yeah.
And then I looked down my list of SNES games that I wanted to play. I found out I had played 4 SNES games in 4 years.
Oh my God.
I played Contra 3. I cleared that. I played Space Megaforce, Donkey Kong Country 2. And one other one I can't even remember. I played 4 games in 4 years.
Maybe it was Blazion.
Oh, so I finished Illusion of Gaia right after I moved in here. And it's just like
The poor forgotten one.
yeah, well, that's justified.
It does not hold up to Sky Blazer at all.
Sky Blazer
or Soul Blazer. Yeah. I get those two mixed up name-wise.
Also Sky Blazer.
Yeah, Sky Blazer, also a very good platformer.
Also a very good platformer that doesn't have passwords. You can do it in one sitting.
It has passwords.
Sorry, I meant it doesn't have a save points.
Yeah.
So I played Goof Troop and I had a good time. And then I played Maju O, which is a Super Famicom platformer. It's translated in the fan translation I played as Rise of the Demon King.
Rise of the Demon King. Yep.
And I looked at a long play. It's a half-hour platformer.
Yep.
No saves. I don't think this one even has passwords. I think it has a stage select. And it's just like 6 or 7 punchy little stages.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat down with it and I played it for 2 hours and I beat it and I played it for another hour and I cleared it in one go. And it was a fucking great time.
Yeah, that game so overlooked. It is such a gem.
Yeah, like it's a fun action game. It has kind of some Castlevania energy and how you need to approach the enemies, just like very considered. Like, okay, you worry a lot about your spacing. You worry about like if you just plow forward, then you get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
So then you just kind of think it through. And it also is just soaked in this atmosphere that feels intensely like 90s OVA.
Yeah,
like it's all like gross. It's all like gross demons and like people like tied, like ladies tied up in the background.
It is leaning into this aesthetic so much. It's really good.
I was like, I want something. All right, let's just play some normal, nice SNES games. And then I played this, and it felt like a DL site game. I was like, all right.
I'm so brain poisoned. I'm looking at a Let's Play right now, and I'm like, oh, this is a modern game because he has a dodge roll.
Yep. This game seemed extremely hard at first, and that's because I didn't know about the dodge roll. For every other game, I looked at the controls. I just Googled the controls first just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
This does look really cool, though.
Yeah,
and
it is
cool.
really
Atmosphere
good.
And color.
Oh God!
Oh my God, the colors! Yeah,
So-
it's just gorgeous.
It's like I don't think SNES games utilize that system's palette in the same way that game does. Like, because it's really like that game has a really unique and interesting look.
Mm-hmm. It was 1995, which
that's pretty late.
Yeah, it's pretty late, and it just feels like they knew the mood they were going for, and they fucking nailed it. It has a cute little story.
Mm-hmm.
There's the way that the final boss plays out. Like it's not just one phase and then phase 2 of the same boss. It's like 2 different entities, and the way it plays out is very cool.
Yeah,
some good ends and bad ends, and they have a good ending and a bad ending. It's just a cute thing. Like this is the kind like. I can imagine playing something like this, buying it for like $60 or something, and then being a little put out because again, it was basically over and done with in an afternoon. But when I'm just downloading a ROM in 2022, like this is it. Like if I downloaded this and it was a freeware game, like a modern freeware game, I would be screaming about
over
it.
The moon. I
would be screaming about it for the next year.
Yeah.
And then I can just get experiences like that, jumping on these old consoles and just playing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this was just good as hell. Had a cool mood. It just completely nailed what it's going for. So I love this. And then I followed it up, and I like the next game like just as much. I played Magical Poppin'.
Oh, that game's cute.
It's so cute.
Yeah, that game's literal diabetes. Just like Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, it's so adorable. There's so many sprite details. Like just the main character alone. She has like multiple animations for ducking, multiple animations being at the edge of a ledge. You slash her sword on a wall and she bounces backward. If you fall from a big distance, then she does a little bounce on the ground when you land. It's so like textured. And then all the enemies are really cute. There's a ton of music. There's a ton of cool, pretty, gorgeous palettes, gorgeous art.
Yeah.
It plays kind of like, I think this is kind of how Monster World plays, where it's a linear stage, where it's stages, but there are multiple paths through the stages, and you can kind of so it's not fully like a full explorer game. It's kind of in the middle in a way that I really, really like. Because you never are missing out on any like essential things,
like major upgrades or something.
Yeah, like there are some heart upgrades. Those are like the biggest possible ones.
Yeah,
and then there's a bunch of just currency for your spells, and if you miss that, that's okay. There's health upgrades. It's all feels there's extra lives. It all feels good to get because it's all useful. But if you miss it, that's fine. You're just going to the next stage anyway. So it's a very nice balance where it feels where you're having fun exploring, but it doesn't feel like the collectathon brainworms, basically.
Yeah.
And this one is like an hour and a half long, and it has no passwords and no save points, no saving. So that's pretty funny, I think.
Is it difficult? It looks easy, but old games can be deceiving.
I haven't once CC'd it yet.
Okay.
I've had to try a couple times, and I ran out of lives. It's not that somebody added me right after I started playing it, like, oh, this one has really bad difficulty spikes, and I finished the whole game and I had no idea what she was referring to because I just didn't hit one.
Well, difficulty's always going to kind of be subjective, I suppose.
There's a couple enemies where I was like, wait, what? How do I fight this? How do I damage this? And then I just kind of fiddled around for a couple minutes, and I was like, oh, this is how I damage this. Okay. So there's bosses where you have to think a little bit about how do you approach them.
Yeah.
But then there's always, I just fiddled around for a bit and then figured it out. Really, I thought it was satisfying. And it has like a multi-stage final dungeon. It has like 4 separate tracks that are dope final dungeon tracks. There's a big boss rush at the end, but it's after like a big epic stage, so it feels good. Majuo is a boss rush too at the very last stage, and I was almost disappointed, but it still has a nice last stage right before that. And it feels like it gave me Falcom tingles.
Honestly. I can absolutely see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It gave me the vibes of like going on a full RPG journey. And then that's the kind of the last bit, really adorable thing about Magical Poppin', is that this absolutely inspired Chorus.
Oh God, yeah.
I didn't know, and then I played it, and then Tom immediately added me like, oh yeah, I love this one. Her little duck animation is just identical to Chorus.
Yeah, it's I thought it was just like, oh, you just redrew that.
So I was very delighted because I loved Chorus, and then this was like gave me a very similar arc, just with like luxurious studio production values, basically exactly like Chorus in every way. So I just had a ton of fun with this, and I thought it was part of Poppin' Twinbee because of the name Poppin',
right?
But I was completely mixing it up with the other Poppin' platformer on the Super Famicom.
Yeah.
Actually has nothing to do with Poppin'. So yeah, this was just really nice, and playing Majuo and Poppin' right back to back was just like, holy fucking shit, these were really fucking good. Yeah. And then I'm just looking at my list of other SNES games, like there's a lot of other short action games, punchy action games on here that I just haven't touched. I started Run Saber this morning. It's really fun. It's extremely a Strider clone.
Yeah, it's like Walmart brand Strider.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as strong to me as the other two, but I'm still having fun because it turns out Strider is really fucking good. And even Walmart brand Strider is kind of Walmart brand Strider, where you play as like a really cool looking sword lady with purple hair. And that's still pretty good, I think. I'll see how the end of the game treats me. It's harder than the other two, so I'm taking some more time with it. I put like Ghost Sweeper Mikami on the list, like you pointed out.
That game's just a fun little run.
Yeah, like I think we get caught up. It makes sense to me that the ones that get canonized from that era are the ones like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy, where they take up a lot of time. They're very beefy experiences.
And when those games came out during their time, they were literally revolutionary.
It makes sense that the ones that stick in people's brains are the epic adventures. And I can understand these games being a little disappointing. Like both Majuo and Magical Poppin' got mediocre reviews from Famitsu.
I mean, did either of them come out in America? I think that's a much bigger thing for relevancy over here.
Also that.
Like people don't know Sin and Punishment because it didn't come out over here. That's just the first game that popped into my head is not localized.
Yeah. So, but now that we're in a world where we can just download these at a whim, and literally if I can sit down and finish all of Majuo in one morning, that's not a bad thing. That is this is exactly the kind of arc I want out of like freeware stuff that I go to that stuff for. And there's so much of it on Game Boy, on SNES, on NES, on Genesis. Makes me real happy. Makes me happy. I lost touch for a little while, and now I'm
you
feeling.
You forgot your roots, your heritage.
I forgot my roots of playing fucking Super Nintendo games. I went and made that list, and then I think I figured out every game I actually beat on console as a kid. Jeez. And I think it was Chrono Trigger, Aladdin, Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse, TMNT 4, Mega Man X, and that might be it because I didn't beat Super Metroid. I didn't beat Link to the Past. I beat Mario. I beat Mario World. I think that was maybe my first one.
I just went into shock at the phrase "I didn't beat Super Metroid" because like the ending is everything.
Yeah,
Super Metroid freaked me out as a kid. I didn't like playing it alone. But So I got through like Final Fantasy IV, Link to the Past, and Super Metroid on an emulator at like age 10 or 11 with save states and game facts. And then I came back to them later. So it was a very different, it was a very weird, specific arc of discovering emulators very young, but also having a bunch of the games on console very young. So I really liked playing a bunch of these, and I really liked doubling the number of SNES games I've played in the last 4 years over like 3 days. So that's been extremely fun, and I want to play more console games. Rhett.
Hi.
What have you been up to?
I watched a lot of anime. Imagine that.
What?
I had 2 weeks off work and I watched a lot of anime. So where do we want to start here? I caught up on Attack on Titan, the final season. Figured I would
Okay.
just throw that one out here first. So I can't speak in specifics because Polly is also in the middle of that one. We were at the same stopping point at the end of season 3, part 2.
Yeah.
Polly will know that show, or why that show changes pretty dramatically immediately afterwards.
Yeah, thing happens, and it's like, oh, everything gets contextualized, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is all different now. Well,
everything's different now. Like, that is kind of... Yes, they did, actually.
Okay, I figured.
That was the big thing. Like, we're going to war against these Titans, and also we want to open the door to this basement. It's so silly the way they're wording it. Yeah. Like, we got to get into that fucking basement. I will die to get in that basement. Like, it's very dramatic. That series is just big and over the top and insane.
Yep.
The nature of things definitely changes going forward. It's a very violent series.
Mm-hmm. I remember you tweeting that you kind of didn't like it. It's like, wow, everybody's awful. I'm just like, well, have you not been watching this television show for the last 8 years? Are you just now realizing everybody in this show is an unlikable fuckhead?
But they were unlikable fuckheads fighting against the Titans. And now things have changed.
Yeah? I always felt that this was where the show was going to go.
I guess so. I don't know. It's... stories like this, I don't know how to word this, like, about hatred and cycles of violence and persecution. Mm-hmm. It's weird when it's also has the element of also Aaron is a boy that can turn into a giant monster and eat people, you know? Like, when you add magic elements in, like, there's so many, like, weird magical elements now on top of, like, real human violence and suffering that it's kind of strange.
If there was a show that was going to go off the fucking rails and jump the shark 800 times, this is kind of the one I always expected to do it. So it's just kind of like, that doesn't surprise me at all.
The other thing is, everybody almost universally, I don't know what the ending is, but other than everybody hates it.
Yeah, it sounds very controversial.
Yeah. I'm at the point now, so I was like not sure if I was actually going to finish season 4 part 2 because it had hit such a point where I was like, oh, this is a good cliffhanger. And season 4 part 1 does not end on a cliffhanger. It ends like in the middle of a fight. It's bizarre. But I did finish it anyways. I was just like, do I even like this series enough to rewatch season 4 again? And the answer was like, probably not. So I'm like, okay, I'll just see where this one leaves off. And it actually leaves off on a pretty crazy moment. So I'm like, okay, you didn't like just throw me off at the side of the road or something. It's like, okay, I know exactly where we are now. Things are, I don't know what the moral of this story is going to be in the end. I feel like a psychopath because I'm kind of rooting for the villain at this point. Where it's just everybody needs out. You're all
terrible. Everybody should just die.
Yeah. Maybe that's the answer.
What if humans were the virus all along?
I mean, there's also that element of true too. It's like, well, what if the Titans were right? I don't know. It's hard talking around spoilers with this one.
Yeah.
But I've realized maybe I'm a bit more sensitive to violence than I used to be. So when it gets onto real personal human on human violence, I'm just like creeping out of my skin. Like, oh God, that was so bad. Why are you guys like this now? Then I watched.
Does this feel at all thematically consonant with all of the Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul content on the feeds lately?
I was literally about to segue into Better Call Saul.
Speaking of anime,
I didn't mean that. I forgot that you'd watched it. I was just thinking like, shows where people are awful.
I did the double header. I finished Attack on Titan, and then I finished up Better Call Saul.
Uh-huh.
A story about a very likable, human, nice guy protagonist.
Yeah. Well, he is likable. He's very likable.
He actually is likable. That's the thing. Like, this show has an awful, evil protagonist, but he's very likable about it.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, like you can see the spiral that he goes down is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But it's like it contrasts with Breaking Bad, because like Walter White goes from like, you kind of like him and root for the guy, and then it's like, oh no, you're very clearly like you should not be rooting for this guy like 2 seasons in. Whereas Better Call Saul, like Jimmy is just, he is a likable guy who you could see maybe at some point he made a bad decision, and then another, and then another, and then it started getting more,
and then like 1,000 more,
and then 1,000 more that were more on purpose.
Yeah. I think Breaking Bad, he basically had to become a monster immediately for that show to work. But Better Call Saul has the breathing room, has a more fleshed out protagonist.
Yeah.
The entire show is a slow descent into where he is.
Yeah. Like, you know where he ends up. And it's just like, oh, man, like getting there. It's just like, oh, being drugged, or like my face is being drugged through gravel.
Yeah. There are just so many moments in the show where you're just like,
dude,
man, just stop. Why are you like this? Just let it go.
You disaster of a human being.
Yeah. Again, not to spoil things, but I think one issue I had is that you want to watch Breaking Bad immediately afterwards because of how this kind of gets right up to that point, and then there's time skip shenanigans, so it kind of skips over Breaking Bad. So then you're kind of dealing with a different version of that character in the later stuff.
Gotcha.
Because every season had started with, those flash forwards.
The flash forwards of like what happened after.
Yeah. Into that. Yeah. So there's a hefty amount of aftermath stuff in the show, but then having it have to skip over the entirety of Breaking Bad was a little jarring. It's not too bad, but you have to remember, all right, he did even more awful stuff in Breaking Bad of just like assisting in like murders and cover-ups, and really just any legal pretense completely gone by that point.
Yeah. Bob Odenkirk, man. What
amazing actor.
What an actor. Like him and Bryan Cranston could not have been two better leads for two shows.
Yeah, definitely. I think overall I like Breaking Bad more just because that's more kind of my style of the big over the top roller coaster.
Yeah.
Where this one is a slow burn.
Yeah.
Depression, basically. It's not a happy show, that's for sure. I mean, it's like, I think having watched this more as it aired versus Breaking Bad, where I just kind of shotgunned the whole thing right when it ended, having watched like the first 4 seasons roughly around when they aired, like I don't remember the earlier ones as well. It was more of a comedy towards the start for sure.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, he's such a goofball. And then by the end, it's like, you are just a monster now. Like,
you went down a path, like, and you can see where that path, like, exactly where he completely broke and could never go back.
Yeah. I think it's almost like there's not one moment though where he broke, or it's just a series of getting in deeper and deeper and not being unable to turn things around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's less of a comedy in the later seasons for sure. And then there's also a lot of the other side of the story, the drug cartel stuff.
That stuff was getting juicy when I stopped watching.
It's maybe a little fillery feeling at times where it's like, because you're having all these characters from Breaking Bad show up.
Yeah. You needed Mike, you needed more Gus.
Yeah. But all of them are, they got the plot armor on.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing bad that's going to happen to them. So all there's no tension there.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem people had. Like, there's a scene in season 5 where Mike has a gun pointed at his head, and you're just like, guys, if you're trying to make this dramatic, it's just not working. We know Mike is fine.
Like, you have a character already in that situation that you can do a lot of things with to keep things, to keep things intense. Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, the twins from Breaking Bad are also in this. Like, okay, like, but again, nothing bad can happen to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you just have all these characters that are plot armor, and then the one that it doesn't have the plot armor, like, uh-oh. A lot of the stuff does kind of take up a lot of the running time, especially in season 5, where it's like half the show, and you're just like, okay. Like, I think it was season 4 where it's like, on the surface, it was kind of silly. Like, here's the story about how Gus built the basement.
Yeah.
But then which seemed kind of like filler, but then they do something really cool.
Very cool with it, yeah.
With the story. Like, I don't maybe think they do something really cool with all the stuff in season 5, where it's like, okay, you're kind of spinning wheels a bit.
Yeah.
But that's a good show.
Yeah.
I was doing like 2 episodes a night for season 5, and then I started season 6 thinking, oh, I'll do like 2 a day. And then 7 episodes later or something. Oops. I'm like, oh, okay. I had 2 days till the final episode aired. I have gone too fast.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to happen. It's like when I watched Symphogear season 5 in like a day, and then it was like, shit, I've got to wait a week for the final episode. I fucked up. My timing ended up being so good though, where I watched episode 12 like Monday night. Checked Amazon. They did not have the final episode up yet. 20 minutes later, checked again, and it was up.
Nice.
So by the time Amazon emailed me at 4 a.m., oh, the new episode is up, I'd already watched it.
Nice.
Like, being within 20 minutes was like, okay, I timed this perfectly to not get spoiled by anything. And then I guess I'll throw out a video game here. I've been playing a video game.
What are those?
What? You do that?
Yeah, I barely do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting game of the year. It's like, did I play 10 games?
I had 1 year where I literally could not name 10 games that I liked.
God. Oh, yeah. Did I play 10 games that I liked? Even harder.
Oh, oofa doofa.
I guess Trails of Cold Steel is not getting the compress into 1 entry treatment.
Hey, here you go. Here's an easy one. I released ASDF this year.
Okay, there's one. Anyways, I've been playing Xenoblade 3.
Xenoblade?
What was that, John?
What's Xenoblade?
Shut up. I think we've extensively talked about that series on here.
A little bit.
Yes.
In the last 8 years?
I believe Xenoblade 1 is Sockscast approved.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
That first game is entirely Sockscast approved.
Yep. With more to come.
That first game is Sockscast approved. Why won't you guys believe me on 2?
I've played 2. I've played 2.
And you hate it. That's what we're really here for. Polly, I understand being extremely mad about losing 5 hours of progress. That would kill me as well.
You telling me, look, it's not just 5 hours of progress. It's 5 hours, but also Tora is there the whole time. And it's the only character you have to bounce off of. And I fucking hate Tora.
He's not great.
No, he's fucking awful.
There's a good scene later on.
You're going to be one of those people like, look, there's a real good scene 70 hours in that you gotta see. You gotta play to get there.
That's basically the Xenoblade 2 experience where like I've been just like reading the vibe on the trilogy now that all 3 games are out. And a lot of people that are 2 defenders are also like, the first third of 2 is the weakest. And then it ends super strong. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately true. 2 is so good.
You just got to get past that first 40 hours and then you're fine.
Probably like a third of Xenoblade 1 is bad.
There's that.
But I think I like the third of Xenoblade 1 that is bad a lot more than I do the third of Xenoblade 2 that is bad. You guys,
I want to play Xenoblade 2.
Tora is really bad. Guys, those menus are really bad. Guys, that map is really bad. That compass is really bad.
The quest tracking deal with the compass is bad.
The quest tracking is really bad.
I think these games prioritize different things, and Xenoblade 2 is a mess mechanically. Like, I'll give you that. And not even the stuff you just mentioned, but like the gacha.
The gacha bullshit
ridiculous.
Too. That's so stupid. Field skills. I can't open a chest that is right here because I don't have cooking level 4.
That's introduced in Xenoblade X.
Oh, thank you, Xenoblade X, for ruining the best game.
I still like Xenoblade X. I think we can all agree Xenoblade X will definitely be Sockscast approved.
That's destined to be Sockscast approved.
Destined.
I'm going to die. They're going to announce a new, stronger Switch, and then in 2 years, they're going to do Xenoblade 2 remastered, and they're never going to acknowledge X again. That's what...
X ends on a sequel tease. X is the only one that ends on a sequel tease.
Wait,
it's so
really?
painful. Yeah, it does. Explicitly, it ends on a sequel tease.
That's wild.
Yep.
So anyway, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Right?
Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm really here to talk about 2, goddammit.
Oh, you're just here to talk about 2. Okay. Well, in the 8 hours that I played of 2, I was miserable most of it because I hate how that game feels on every level.
The Xeno experience.
No, because I played Definitive Edition, and that game does not feel bad, and that game is built on XC2's engine. So when I went and played XC2 in earnest this past week, it just felt like slop in my hands.
I think maybe if you went from the Wii game, Xenoblade 1 to 2, then it would feel
2X,
better.
2.
I think there is so much, like, just despite the fact that it's just like let's take out the fact that, like, all right, I hate the gacha shit. Like, okay, like, I lost 5 hours because, I'm stupid me for thinking that a video game would autosave in the year 2022. Went to bed. I was all right, I'm just going to bed because I'm way too tired. Yeah. Put it down, put the Switch in sleep mode, wake up, the Switch is dead. Come back. My save file says 3 hours, start of chapter 2. And it's like, good, you get to do all the Tora shit again. It's like, no, no, I don't. No.
So I thought you were just straight back at the start of the game.
No, it was like I did like, what was it? Because I had finished chapter 2 and I got in far enough to get chain attacks.
Okay.
And when I came back, it was like, I am at the start of chapter 2 again. Good. I'm never playing this video game ever again.
That's like the worst possible way, because I was thinking either you have to replay the intro again with like all the pirate stuff, and it's like, okay, you can either rewatch those very cool cutscenes or just skip over them and save a bunch of time. Mm-hmm. But then having to redo Tora stuff is like the worst.
Yeah, because they make you do a lot of fucking gathering, and it's just like, oh hey, you need to go salvage, and like you don't always get the items that you're supposed to get in order to get Poppy going. So it literally took me like 28 minutes to get all the gears and shit that I needed for Poppy to get going. Yeah, this is real good game design.
So Xenoblade 3, I think, mechanically clears up a lot of the bullshit that the first 2 games have.
Hence me skipping XC2.
I don't think you should skip the middle game in a trilogy.
Okay, what if the middle game in the trilogy is bad?
Well, that's not the first time this has happened. And then you watch the ending cutscenes on YouTube, and then still played it anyways.
I mean, I will watch cutscenes for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I don't think that is a game that I want to play.
You might have to watch the cutscenes then.
Everything about that game just felt so labored, and I was trying so hard to look past it. And even when I woke up the next morning and I had lost 5 hours, it felt like a message from God.
Holy shit. I was so looking forward to this, and it didn't disappoint.
I will say, I go into Xenoblade 3 pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying Polly's wrong on the mechanical stuff in 2. Like, it's rough. My first, 10 hours in Xenoblade 3 was, oh my god, I fucking hate this combat so much. I miss 2.
I know that like a lot of people that I know that are playing XC3 kind of say that they get a little bit of Final Fantasy 13 and that maybe they over tutorialize, so like the first 10 or so hours of the game are maybe way slower than they need to be, and combat doesn't really feel meaty at all from the start. It just feels like XC1 but a little slower.
Yeah, that's definitely chapter 1, and I made the mistake of starting it on hard, which I don't think really made it harder until I hit like a level 6 mini boss and got completely fucking brick walled by it. And it's like, okay, I've done every side quest. I've got literally the back attack, the side attack, and the front attack.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else. I'm still losing. I'm going to put it on normal. I put it on normal and just immediately obliterate it.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, I think hard might just be like a numbers multiplier, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's never good.
So moving past that, though, where it's like, okay, the first chapter feels way too much like Xenoblade 1 in a bad way, where it's just super simple positioning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get the full party, though, and it becomes like the 6-character chaos, it feels like the game kind of plays itself a lot of the time.
I was wondering if that was either the game was just going to play itself or if it's too chaotic to keep track of.
It's both. Like, my favorite thing now is just pressing minus to turn on auto battle for my character and then just letting it do its thing.
Oh, wow.
Because it does a pretty good job, and as long as your level is higher than the enemies, or actually, no, I can be like 5 levels lower than a single enemy.
Oh, my God.
And so that's how I ended up getting so overpowered in chapter 3, where it's just I was like fighting level 20 stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm cool doing side quests, and then there's some level 30 stuff over here. I can take them on, start leveling up here. There's level 40 stuff over there. There's I'm still in the same massive open world. There's level 50 enemies over there. I can fight these. Damn. And the next thing I know,
can you not level down or anything?
No, you're just fucked. I've completely fucked things
because
myself.
Because I am pretty goddamn sure you can level down in definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
I think you have to beat Xenoblade 3 in order to do that. I did see something about you can level up your classes after beating the game, because then because you have to be within 5 levels of an enemy to get class experience.
Oh, right.
So like, I'm fucked right now.
Yeah, you cannot get class experience.
I mean, you can buy it with no pawn coins, which is the one kind of weird currency thing they added in. But anyways, so I finally continued on the main story quest, and like stuff was like level 23, and I'm level 53 now.
Jesus Christ.
Like, there was a point where it's like, okay, this needs to stop. Like, I found some level 59 and 60 enemies and was able to kill them, and it's like, are we doing this? Are we getting to end game level before progressing the story? And I decided not to.
End game level in the first game was like 72 or something.
That's what I'm saying, is like, I could conceivably do that, because in the second, actually, no, this was in the first region. In the first region of the game, I found this hidden cave with level 76 enemies.
Oh my God.
I can't fight them now, but conceivably, if I grinded on the level 60 stuff enough, I probably could. And then I ran through that cave, like stuff was chasing me, but I was like not dying in one hit, so I was able to get to the end. There's like this level 80 dragon at the end. I'm like, so this thing's probably actually stronger than the final boss, or it's like on par. Like, this is ridiculous.
It sounds like they fucked up their experience curve.
Maybe a bit. I think they wanted to do it so you can just mainline the story, do the main story, and not get brickwalled too much.
Yeah.
But then all the people are saying, you want to do the side quests, because that's where you get the new classes. That's where you get like a lot of the story stuff is doing. Like,
you can't bank experience
when you go. You can't bank experience from like killing stuff.
Yeah, you do it with quests and stuff, because that's how Definitive Edition and XC2 do it. Is it just like all of your experience from quests just gets banked?
It's not everything in this one. When you fight enemies, you will level up.
Yeah.
And then when you're at a rest spot, you can use bonus experience if you want to level up. Even there's one part where it's like, everyone is level 40, but I've got so much bonus experience now, I could just make them all 43 if I wanted to. And then once I found like level 50 enemies, that's when I popped it and was like, okay, now I've found a bigger fish to fry.
Maybe turn the game on hard. I don't know if that even helps at this point.
I mean, I actually did, because I'm fighting like a level 27 main story big boss, and it's like, okay. But again, hard is weird when it still feels like combat just plays itself.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like Xenoblade 1 combat was like this intimidating monolith of like, I don't really ever feel like I have a handle on this, and it's kind of hard. So like the game in that one was just spending an hour of prep time going through equipment and gems and being like, okay, maybe this will work. And then you crush your numbers against the enemy's numbers, and hey, sometimes you win.
Yeah.
Xenoblade 2 combat by the end was much easier, much flashier. And it was like, it was popcorn, but it was fun to me because they took out my favorite thing from 2's combat. I'm really salty about that, basically.
What was your favorite thing from 2's combat?
It's probably something you haven't gotten to yet, the elemental chain combos.
Oh, I know what those are. Yeah, I've seen people do
those get nuts by the end. When you're doing like, there's like, what is it? Break, topple, launch, smash stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can do elemental stuff on top of that.
Yeah.
Where it's like water break, torrent smash or whatever. And like there's the stupid announcer shouting it out the whole time.
It literally sounds like Sonic Generations announcer.
Yeah. It's so stupid and such a weird diversion from how the first game's combat was.
Yeah.
And then the thing I really liked in 2 was that when you finished each of those combos, there would be like an elemental orb around the enemy.
Floating around, and if you do like another break on it or something, you can smash that orb.
I think when you do the chain attacks, then you would start breaking those orbs, and you needed as many orbs as you wanted to do chain attacks.
Yeah.
I remember, so then there's this whole like, what do you call it? Like grid of like what leads to what element. Stack your elements. Like you don't want to do the same fire combo twice because you can't get 2 fire orbs. They have to be different elements each time.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to figure out all these combos in your head of like, okay, how do I do every element possible with my team composition? I remember on the final boss, I got like 6 of 7, and it was like doing some like, I don't know how many million damage combo that takes like 5 minutes to do. Like that was the part that was fun to me, is just min-maxing the insanity. And the chain combo in this one is just way, way simplified, where it's like, you can't really mess it up.
It's literally XC1, isn't it? Where you just like select attacks and then they build on damage.
Yeah.
And then,
You select attacks, and then every 3, a character will do a big flashy combo, and then it's much simpler. I did get something just now in the game. It's like that adds a wrinkle of complexity to it. The Ouroboros orders, which is like, okay, that's neat. These are really big and silly. Like, this game's very good at like number go up brain candy in a way that 2 was as well for me. But it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just where I am with games right now. Cause like I went into 2 with momentum. I played the Trails trilogy. I finished Xenoblade 1, which took 5 years. And then I immediately went into 2. I was back into JRPGs. And this one, I watched anime for 3 months prior.
Yeah.
And played one game. It's like part of getting into this one was having to turn off the part of my brain that's like, in 20 minutes, you could have watched this chain combo, or you could have watched an episode of anime. Because this game is very time consuming, is basically the thing. I think I'll try to kind of speed through the others elements. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on here, like comparing the 3 games as well. I think the world in this one is the least interesting. Despite being the best to explore, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Like it doesn't have the insane field skill gatekeeping of 2, which ruins exploration in that game.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I found a cool waterfall and there's a passage up there. Oh no, my waterfall climbing skill isn't level 3, so it won't let me through here right now. That kills it. Xenoblade 2, you want to just mainline the story. Okay. Xenoblade 1, I don't really remember wanting to explore that much, especially in the back half when it's just a bunch of mechanical hallways.
The mechanical
Like-
hallways are real dope, though. It's just like one
Yeah.
extended, cool dungeon.
Like there was only one area in that game that I didn't want to explore, and that's because it was fucking teleporter maze shit.
Oh,
God,
there's that
one.
too.
Yep.
I felt like I never quite got into exploring the first one for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was because the side quests were so bad.
Yeah, the side quests are miserable in that game. Like even with good quest tracking in Definitive Edition, which it made them palatable for me. Even with that, like they were still like, yeah, these are just bad. The thing that I do appreciate about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is that it feels like every side quest is like actually this like 3 or 4 part like chained story, and not just like oh, here, go find 5 apples up my ass and bring them back.
I definitely think it has that find apple shit. At least Torna did for sure, which is a little rough.
Because like every side quest I did in XC2 was literally like, oh, like there's a story here. Like they're actually building on things.
Cool. I think Xenoblade 1 has like the most compelling world, large scale, with the Bionis and the Mechonis. Like that concept is still like unrivaled. In how cool it is in practice.
So cool.
It's still real good.
I liked how fantasy looking 2 was. I think there's a lot more diversity in that game, but obviously that means you don't see a lot of it till much further in, because it's all story gated. Xenoblade 3, like visually, it's much closer to the first game, so it's like, oh, I spent 40 hours exploring, but then it's like, and a lot of that was green hills and caves and deserts. Like, there's not been a ton of like really fantastical stuff yet. So it's like, the exploration on a technical level is the best, but maybe it's a little drab visually, like if you want more magical fantasy elements to it.
Yeah.
That said, the area I just reached in chapter 4, pretty sure I'm on chapter 4 now, is pretty visually impressive. Like, it's amazing that this game is able to come out like the same year as Elden Ring and then still impress on that same on the Switch hardware.
Yeah.
Because Elden Ring's quite a looker, very good exploration game, and this is like holding up in a stacked year. I think Xenoblade 3 story setup is doing nothing for me. That's maybe the biggest element. The story so far is about there's these 2 militaries and they use child soldiers and they just kill each other back and forth. And then your characters have found a way to break that cycle of violence. It's just very on the nose, really. Like, they have like, I don't know. I hope it goes somewhere. I think maybe the part of the problem with them all being like child soldiers is that they all kind of have the same backstory. Like, they're all in the same situation. So there's not everyone feels a little interchangeable.
Right.
And then the job system where they literally are interchangeable. Like, oh, you want this tank character to be an attacker? Sure. Just put the attacker job on them.
Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of running into the later Final Fantasy problem where characters kind of lose an identity mechanically.
It's so funny because everybody starts at level 10 as their starting job.
Yeah.
So the game immediately is like, hey, you've maxed this character class. Why don't you switch them? So everyone loses like their main role immediately because you switch them out. But then in all the cutscenes, they'll be using that job, which I almost never actually have them on.
Weird.
Eventually, the level cap will raise. But, at that point, I'm level 50. How long till I can actually get class experience again?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've got all 10 classes for everybody at level 10. But so when the cap goes to 15 or whatever, might be a bit till I can raise them up. I don't know. I will have more final thoughts next time for sure.
Sure.
There's a lot to chew on with this game. Yeah. But
how long do you think you kind of hung out in one area leveling up?
I mean, I could look at my time, but I don't have the game open right now. Probably. I think it was at 30 hours last time. So I listened to a lot of VTuber videos yesterday, just running around making number go up. Like, that was where I found the joy in this game so far, is make number go up, explore. Oh, there's a cave over there. Let's go check out that. Oh, it's nothing. Okay. But it was cool finding a cave.
That is kind of cool that that part of it resonated so much, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's it for now. Polly.
Why?
Hey.
So my segments this episode are actually no pawn related because I think they're meh.
Fuck.
Yeah, there we go. It was a good joke.
Yeah.
But it's not a joke is the problem.
Oh no.
So first game I'm going to talk about is called Coffee Talk.
Oh yeah, you talked about this one.
So Coffee Talk is a visual novel / barista simulator where you serve coffee to people, and you have what are meant to be meaningful and deep conversations with people going through things in their lives, and ultimately through those conversations, they're going to be able to work out their shit. So you serve coffee and change lives. Stop me if this sounds any way familiar.
It was a leading intro.
So the obvious touchstone here is Valhalla. Like that's not like, and I hate to sound reductive and mean. But this is quite literally just what if Valhalla, but without any of the character at all, or any of the endearing traits that game has.
Oof.
First and foremost, the problem is just the patrons aren't interesting. Like their stories are just
that's pretty damning up front.
Yeah, that's kind of like the thing in Valhalla.
Yeah. Like they're like their stories are just really straightforward and simple. There's this overall lack of character to the whole thing. Like everybody talks with the same kind of general tone. Like, so you never really feel you're getting to know anybody personally, or that they have any kind of personality. And like even the barista is just like kind of a mostly neutral non-character with your name, and they rarely offer like any kind of notable input. You put your name in, and it's just like, well, you think you're gonna play a role in the story, and they're just like they just kind of bounce off everybody in the same, that's weird kind of way. And it's just, God. And I think like a big part of why Valhalla worked was because Jill was an active participant.
Yeah.
Through her patrons and learning through the things that they were dealing with, she learned a lot about herself, and that allowed her to move forward as a character. But with Coffee Talk, you're just so fucking unconnected. Despite the barista being like I guess a player stand-in, like it somehow feels you feel even less involved somehow.
Weird. And
then there's this weird dumb meta layer they try to add right at the end, where there are like 4 days you have to go back and revisit, and they add like 1 to maybe 5 new lines of dialogue to those 4 days, and then you go back to the ending again, and it just adds another 2 or 3 lines of dialogue, and it's just like, what? It was
what
just
are you doing with the VN, trying to be clever with the VN language.
Yeah, like it just felt like it was like, oh, this is a thing visual novels do now. You got to be meta. You got to have some kind of gotcha. Ooh, I'm making you think real deep about this, aren't I? And it's like, no. Like somewhere along, like, and like I look at the reviews for this game and they drive me mad because everybody's like, this is so touched my soul. I'm just like, is it just because like Valhalla came out and you wanted more of that thing, and this came out within enough proximity that you just kind of latched onto that too? Is that what's going on here? Because somewhere along the line, people kind of, I think they mixed up like quaint, subdued, understated with just kind of fucking boring. And I know that the creator for this game died recently. And I'm sorry I don't like his game. You know, but I'm not going to hold back my criticisms just because of that. But I know that was something that was going to come up because this dumb shit always comes back and bites me in the ass anytime I criticize something. I always get some weird thing down the line of like, hey, you know, this thing you criticized, this person had a blah, blah, blah. And turns out, oh, this one, the person's dead. But yeah,
I remember I had something similar with Light Drifter, where I was like,
Wait, really?
where I specifically where I specifically said I didn't like. I felt like the story did not land at all. I felt like it didn't tie into the play at all. I feel like it was just trying to be a normal video game and the stuff was duct taped on.
Yeah.
And it turns out, this was an extremely personal story by the developer about his own struggles with a heart condition. I was like, oh,
well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, like it sucks, but like when I play a video game and I got a podcast and I got to talk about it, I always try to be as honest as I can with how I felt about these types of things. And I just think that
we're still right. We're still right though.
Exactly. I just like this is just like again, like I hate being reductive in meme, but this just really felt like what if Valhalla, but just not good. I'm sorry. I played another video game.
Yeah.
Wow, 2?
Yes. How about roundtable discussion?
Sorry, one kind of more thought that the coffee table thing is fun. Coffee talk is funny just because like the coffee shop AU is such a trope now.
Yeah, so it is.
It's just like, what if we just make a game what if we just tell a story that's like chill and gentle, by which mean nothing really happens at all.
Yeah, that's literally this game is literally the personification of that.
Yeah. And like I feel like the ways that people make those good is that you make something that does happen and it does feel meaningful and it does feel important. Mm-hmm. It's just that it's not, life or death stakes necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think people, like you said, just kind of confuse that with it's fine. We'll just make something boring, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's soft and gentle. Nice
soft
game.
And gentle. Like it's wholesome. Wholesome is the word that I keep seeing thrown around. And I think that people use that. And I think people like to use that as a blanket term for don't criticize it. Really.
Yeah. We're being so bold by making a video game that's not about violence.
Yeah. Like that's all. Is that all you've got to do to get praise now? I've
never done that ever.
Nobody's ever done that. Yeah. Right. Anyway. But yeah, played another video game, a roundtable discussion this time. Because I know this one's going to be a real deep topic. But I want you, what do you two think when I say the words Power Wash Simulator?
That's the kind of...
Gonna get the noggin jogging on this one.
Polly. Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
That hit me extremely funny.
Sure.
About how you engaged with this game.
Yes.
Is that you went on new anxiety beds and then you immediately got extremely deep into Power Wash Simulator on your computer. It's like, wow, for some reason, I just feel really good virtually power washing this deck. I could just do this for hours.
It literally is the funniest. It is the funniest fucking coincidence. I don't know. I don't know whether the anxiety meds actually like facilitated me liking this or not. And I know a number of people were like, why are you playing this? It's just the new VTuber flavor of the month, right? Like, you don't do shit like that. It's like, no, this actually looked interesting to me.
Did it?
No, yes, I watched your whole stream, and I completely...
It is completely...
knew wholeheartedly you were enjoying this experience.
I 100%... I sat down, like, the first moment I fucking started spraying dirt off something. It was like, this is a fucking revelation.
I thought you were going to say you 100% in this game.
No.
I was like, no. Honest to God, like... The segue there was like Coffee Talk is a game where nothing really happens, and then Power Wash Simulator, a game where nothing really happens.
But there's a purity to it.
Nah, dude. What it is, it's all about the ding. Okay? When you clean a surface 100% or any object, you get it is the most satisfying ding I've ever heard in a video game. It's fucking brain candy. It gets in there. Like, you see the object light up, it'll flash in this really nice blue, this really bright blue color. Ding! And it's super clean now. It's like, this is just a complete and utter fucking revelation. I can't believe what's happening here.
Gorgeous.
I did 3 streams of this game. I've streamed this game for like 9 hours. Like, what the fuck? Right? Like, it's just fucking power washing, but it's what it says on the tin. You wash vehicles, you wash fucking houses, you wash a fucking, like, I think the last big one I did was a fucking amusement park, where I had to fucking do a Ferris wheel and shit. And you've got to like move around scaffolding so you can get up there, and it's just like, it's got this nice progression system of just like, you get them dings, you get more money, you can buy more power washer shit, you can get a new power washer, you get more nozzles, you can buy new soap. Have you ever bought new soap in a video game and been so fucking excited?
Fuck.
Ollie finally found a numbers go up video game.
Yep.
But yeah, like this is just, it's complete zen. You sit there, you zone out. Like anytime like New Music Friday came around, that was kind of my jam. Like I would throw on the new music that I wanted to listen to Friday, power wash for a couple hours. Let's go.
Oh,
and like these jobs get really big. Like the fucking playground and skate park took me like 4 hours a piece.
oh my God.
Like and like they're very generous about how like you spray shit down. Like you can get to like 99% of something. Sometimes it's even lower, as low as like 95% for the threshold, and like the object will just ding for you, like, and it'll take the rest of the dirt off. Like it's very like, you don't always have to get like every little itty bitty speck. And the game's got a nice highlight button you can press. Like if you can't really tell like if something's still dirty or not, you can press like tab, and it'll like flash the dirt in this gold color to show you like where the remaining dirt is. And you can highlight objects using your little notebook. You go in, it's like, hey, like, I don't know what this is. Like you go and click it, it's, you got something, it's like, and it'll highlight it in the world with like a subtle glow. So you can be like, oh, okay, I see where that's not cleaned. Sure.
Cool.
This proved it to be very, very, very fun and just very, very relaxing. It was not something that I expected. Like it was something that was cool and neat, because it was just like, that seems like a neat idea that you could play with. Like at least with other like simulator games, they kind of felt maybe overdone, or like there's like that time where like everything was a fucking dumb simulator with like bad physics engines and shit. Yeah. Whereas this is literally just, hey, do you like watching water knock dirt off of shit and then seeing things get real clean? They're really smart too, because every time you complete a project, they do a time lapse at the end. Ooh. And it shows you everything getting cleaned in time, and like in real time.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, yeah. That's so good.
Yeah, it's real good.
So smart.
It's real good. Like there's so many good and smart decisions in this game. And then there's a point where it feels like they decided that Power Wash Simulator, being this really fun, cool, and relaxing toy, wasn't enough. So it's got to be a video game now. And I think this is about like halfway to 3/4 through the campaign. Like the jobs start getting like really precise with what you need to clean. And like my issue isn't that the jobs got bigger, it's that suddenly they're asking you to spray things down from like these like weirdly accurate and precise angles to get to finally get objects clean. Like it feels like they're just hiding dirt on purpose in areas it's really hard to get to, even when you buy like the best nozzles and soap and stuff. So like when I ended up spraying down one surface on a job for like 10 minutes and I couldn't get it to ding, that's kind of where I knew like what the rest of the game was going to be. And like when I looked online, those fears were confirmed.
Oof.
And I just kind of stopped playing, because for me, it went from being this relaxing and zen thing that I could fire up like any time and just like have it chill out. Just like throw on some tunes, throw on a stream or something. It went from being that kind of relaxing toy that I could play with to just a frustrating and annoying exercise in accuracy and precision that just wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah, that sucks.
And that's a real bummer, because I like what this game's doing a lot, but it really feels like somebody at some point was like, oh, we can't make a toy. It's got to be a video game. So now it needs to be hard for some weird reason.
The Octodad effect.
Yeah. That's exactly what it made me think of. Like where Octodad is this cool, fun thing. And then you went and you tried to be too video game with it, and now it's just this annoying thing.
Yep.
And that bummed me the hell out because I was having a lot of good fun with Power Wash Simulator, but I have not really touched it since because there's I looked at forums and stuff, and yeah, those later jobs, it just sounds like, yeah, it's just a lot of trying to find the right fucking crevice they hid from you, or they hid 4 pixels of dirt that you just can't fucking get to for some reason. It's just like, yeah, this isn't very fun anymore.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, like I don't know why you need to gamify something like this in that way. Like there's no reason that jobs needed to be any more complex. Like they didn't need to be, or just like lower the fucking thresholds on certain things because they don't need to be 99% on some big thing. And I'm trying to like find the little itty bitty speck that I missed, and it's just like, oh, because I didn't move the scaffold to this precise location and use the 0 angle nozzle that rotates to kind of like get a little fucking jet of water in there to hit 4 fucking pixels. Like, yeah, nah, I can't. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not great.
That's
not great.
This was potential, like could have made my game of the year list material, and it's just like, yeah, I won't be going back to that, unfortunately.
Aww.
It is a fun game to play with friends.
It was fun to watch your journey. I'm glad because you almost abandoned it after that first stream. So I'm glad that I'm glad it feels like you still got a lot of good time out of this one.
Yeah.
Did you lose your save at one point? And then
I lost my save.
Oh, right.
Yeah, my save got fucked. One morning, I just launched the Game Pass app on PC, and I went to play, and suddenly, like, where's my career mode? It's gone. So, hey, guess what? Cheat Engine exists for a reason.
Oh.
So
okay, I'm glad you're able to salvage it.
I found a cheat table. Well, we tried to get me a save file, but it's not cross-platform save files because Microsoft is stupid. So I just grabbed Cheat Engine, looked up some values, bought some stuff, maybe gave myself a little more of a leg up. Found another cheat table that let me get caught back up to where I was in the campaign, that just let me spray things immediately and clean them. We figured that shit out, and then I got my file. So yeah, like at about 20 hours in, I lost my file, and then I played another 20 hours after I cheated it back. So yeah.
What? That's more hours than I thought.
I believe I've played that game for about 40 hours.
Yeah, I think you got your money's worth there.
Yeah, especially since I didn't pay shit for it.
You mentioned Game Pass.
Yeah, it's just free on Game Pass, so. Yeah, despite that though, it's just like, due to what the back half of the game becomes, though, it's just kind of like, yeah, it bums me out that it kind of went that way. But yeah, I love it. I've got 40 good hours out of it, but there's still like another 30 hours or so of the game left that I just am not willing to engage with.
That's probably more than you expected going into Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah. I didn't expect to play it after the first stream. I just thought, oh, this will be fun. Like I'm legitimately interested in it. I wasn't just playing it because it was a popular thing. I was legitimately interested. I thought, this is cool. I was like, okay, yeah, like this is a cool thing. So I did play it long after that first stream. So yeah,
cool.
It's a fine thing, but that back half is real unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any of the Power Wash lore?
There's a lot of it. There's a lot of things going on in that. Like if you're paying attention to the story that's going on in the text messages while you're playing, there's some crazy shit going on. It's pretty wild.
When the full release came out, I started seeing stuff. I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I thought this was a Power Wash game.
It's really, really good. I will give them props for that. That stuff's really fun.
That's pretty funny.
5-minute break.
Yep. 5-minute break.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be right back with the second half of the show. Stay tuned, everybody.
was like, wouldn't it be funny if we were all back and then nobody said anything? We just sat there for like an hour.
It wouldn't shock me if that's happened before.
I was like, is that happening right now? Because I've been here.
Oh. Yeah, like what I do to indicate that I'm back is I just unmute my mic. That way it shows that, hey, check it out. I'm there. I can talk. That's what I do.
What we do is we talk.
Yeah. That's an important part of a podcast, right?
I like that I was like, I watched a bunch of anime and then immediately went into Better Call Saul and Xenoblade.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the best turnaround I've ever seen on this show before.
The rest is the anime.
Son of a bitch.
I've only got 2 more that I want to talk about because I'm not talking about all 15. I was like, okay, what are going to be the bigger ones and what can I go through?
Look at this. Quicker? Fucking restraint. Fucking wowie zowie.
Well, I had a lot of restraint last episode, but last episode was what it was.
Yeah, that happened.
It was like, okay, I watched 11th thing. Let's talk about 4.
All right. Are we all back and ready to go?
All back and ready to go. Hey, friends.
Hey.
I didn't unplug my headphones, so whatever stimulating convos you got up to. Oh, I was in the bathroom. I did not hear them this time.
You didn't hear me say cum hole.
Nope. Well, now I have.
Now you have.
That's what I almost missed out on.
Yeah. You meant cornhole.
Clearly. All right, so I know John said he had a thing that he wanted everybody to bet. Do you want us to save that for last?
I think we should save that for last.
All right, we'll go ahead and I guess for this second half, we'll start with Rhett.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then we'll go to me, and then we'll give everybody the bail segment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Rhett.
Hi. So I started the last segment saying I watched a bunch of anime, and then I talked about the 2 non-anime things.
Yeah. It was like a real.
You gonna tell us about the anime, right?
I'll tell you about some of the anime because there was so much anime that I can't possibly actually talk about all of it.
I literally won't let you.
Yeah,
I'll kick you out of the call if you tried.
God, I think about shows about how to talk about them on the podcast so much when watching them, and then 2 weeks pass and it all flies out of my head. I watched Macross Delta.
Yes,
the 2016 sequel to Macross Frontier that I also talked about on this podcast. What?
Macross Frontier? When did you do that one?
I think last year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Fairly recently. That's the 2008 one.
Weird.
So Delta is the 4th main Macross series. I haven't watched the first 2, the original, and there's the 90s one that like nobody talks about, Macross 7, I think. I like this one a lot. This is the one people don't like because it has idols in it. Even though if you really look at those original shows, the way they focus on like big pop star singers, is it really that different?
Yeah, this seems very in line with what I understand.
It seems very in line. It's like, oh, just because it's 5 girls as a group instead of like a solo artist, now it's completely different. Like what?
Like the Macross image I know of is that one image of the pop idol singing on top of the spaceship while a bunch of spaceships are floating in the background. Like that is the image of Macross in my head.
And that is the best moments of this show when it's just fully silly girls. They literally can fly. They have like
good.
They never really explain it, but their skirts kind of flare up and they can just fly around. I had a really good time with this one, even though it is a really flawed show. The second half really kind of fell off, but the first half is just like, it's fun and silly in a way that I really loved. The main girl, Freya, is really just Hibiki, but like even more endless enthusiasm and optimism. Like there's no kind of darker side there and pathos. It's just, she's just very happy and she wants to sing. And she joins.
This show seemed extremely Symphony Gear starting out.
So the funny thing is, I'd seen there's a clip from this that kind of went viral a while ago, where someone took a scene of Freya singing and put the song September over it, because like the chorus like lines up like exactly. So I had seen this clip of this blonde girl in a spaceship flying around singing. And when I started watching Symphogear and I see this main character, Hibiki, I go, is that girl from the September clip? I think it is. So I knew about this show before Symphogear, which is kind of wild to think about. Funny. I found the characters in this just a lot more likable than Frontiers. I think that was my problem with that show is the main boy, I can't remember his name, blanking a bit, and Cheryl, the girl, one of the girls, were just kind of aggravating to characters to watch because they were just, I don't know, stuck up, I guess. Like she's very high and mighty. I'm better than you. I'm the famous singer kind of vibe towards the start.
That's very different from Hibiki energy.
Yeah, that was in Frontier though. In Delta, everyone is much more agreeable and like fun to watch. There's an actual villain this time. Like in Frontier, the villains were like this alien race of bacteria. Like it was kind of weird.
Kind of abstract.
Yeah. So like the viewpoint was always on the main characters and like that side of the struggle. Whereas in this, and this isn't necessarily a good thing, there's the villains get a lot of screen time and they're not very interesting. And they're not necessarily they're not like the big evil mustache twirling villains who want to destroy the universe. They have very good reasons for doing what they're doing. It's a little weird in that a lot of their grief is that basically there was a war 7 years prior and their home planet basically got nuked. Like they call it like the Dimension Eater and it leaves a permanent scar on the planet. But it's like, yeah, this is very on the nose Japan getting attacked in World War II, it felt. Like so like it's weird to see them as villains, but then there's just a lot of scenes of them talking that are not particularly engaging. But the first half of the show, I think, does a much better job keeping up the energy of like, we're going to have a big fight with a song, like almost like every 2 or 3 episodes. Whereas Frontier felt like it started strong and then it had a big moment at like episode 13 and then it finished strong, like huge gaps of, okay, kind of losing me here. And then this one didn't really lose me till the last third, which was a better pace. The last third, like it just felt like momentum fell off a cliff at one point. It was really sad to see because I liked everything in the first half was great. The second half started pretty strong with like kind of the romance subplot culminating in a just really gorgeous way. And then like, okay, it's time to wrap up the war. And it has like no momentum going into the final battle, really.
Weird.
There's this awkward scene where like the main characters get captured by the enemies and they're going to be executed. And it's like, well, you know, they're not actually going to die because that would be a weird story to tell. But then they're like standing on the edge of a cliff, like walking to their death. And it's like, this is really a tonal mess. It feels like right now. The final battle is really good. They play the opening song.
Good.
And then it like, there's a downbeat of like a second and then they just go into the second opening. And I'm like, fucking yes, perfect. That's the way to do it. Like,
good.
So the action's really fun. I think, you know, that shot in anime where a jet is flying around from a bunch of missiles.
Yeah, that's another thing I picture whenever I think of Macross.
This one maybe overdoes it a bit, where every battle is doing that and it kind of loses a little bit of impact. Because it's so much easier to do now when the stuff is CG. So it's just like, okay, you guys are just really hitting that one note repeatedly. I think maybe Frontier was a little more creative with the action.
Okay. But
there's just so much more in this one. So it's like kind of a weird balancing act. Frontier and Delta have compilation movies. And apparently the story is actually different in those.
Huh.
That's like a thing they've been doing since the original, because there's the original Macross, which is 39 episodes, and then there's the movie Do You Remember Love, which people seem to idolize. Yeah, that seems like the thing in Macross is that movie. And it's like, but it's like, can I watch that without having the series? Because it seems like a pretty big stretch to compress a whole 39 episode series into a single movie. So for Frontier and Delta, they did 2 movies that are about 2 hours each, but the story is also different. Like apparently the Frontier one changes the ending. And like the second Delta movie comes out next month on Blu-ray. So it's like, oh, the perfect timing. If I want to dive into those and check those out, I won't have to wait too long.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like the second movie, like the teaser poster is like evil dark versions of the 5 Idols, which is not something that happens in the TV shows. So I'm like, oh, okay, you guys changed some stuff up, huh?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll probably, but then I'm like, oh, yes, I'll watch 4 movies. And then I realize what a tooth pulling experience it is getting me to sit down for 2 hours to watch a single movie. I'm like, oh, maybe I won't get to those right away. I watched like 10 other shows. I'll just talk about one more real quickly. I watched a show called The Orbital Children.
Okay.
And this is a Netflix anime. I think I saw it mentioned. You remember that meme that was going around like, list, your favorite anime from each year? I think I saw somebody list this as 2021. So I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that. I'll check it out. And I got a vibe right at the start of the show. And then I ended up being correct. So it's a bunch of kids in space and they've got like their high tech, future technology. And I go, this kind of reminds me of Deno Coil.
Oh,
and then I look and the author of this and the director is from Deno Coil.
Same.
This is the first thing. This is the first major thing they've done since Deno Coil.
Yep.
Fuck. All right. Cool.
And I think this has a 6.9 on my anime list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
I think Deno Coil did similarly bad, like similarly mediocre on MAL, didn't it?
Well, I won't drag it down by looking. I don't think this show deserves a 6.9. It is not as good as Deno Coil,
right?
But it's also like a 6-episode thing. If anything, like it's a little rushed. I wish there had been a little more time,
room to breathe
earlier. Yeah, especially because like basically the main thrust of this is that there's like 6 kids on a space station, and then things go bad, and they've got to survive, and like that happens so quickly into the show that they haven't even all met yet. So it felt like, oh, there could have been room. It's weird for me to ask for like some padding, but it's like this very much could have
more pacing.
I don't think it's padding. I think it's actually like pacing to get characters where they need to be.
Yeah, I think there could have been time towards the start to just have some interactions between the characters to get to know them a bit more, and that so that they have a little more time to seed things that are going to be relevant towards the story by the end. Because this show, it's weird. It's like there's the survive the space station accident arc, and then some higher concept stuff towards the end. It's a lot to process in like 6 episodes. But I had a good time with it, even though it's a little mediocre at times. Felt a little constrained by, maybe budget or time. But so it's not really like, oh, the big successor
the comeback of Deno Coil.
Yeah, it's not that, but it's like, oh, this was good too. This was good.
That counts for something.
Give it a nice full-throated, this was okay.
It's kind of weird where it's like, I would prefer it being good to being bad, but sometimes bad stuff is more fun to laugh and talk about.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this was good. Cried a little bit at the end. Solid.
Yeah.
That's you instantly
nice
get another point for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. +1 for cried at the end, obviously. Listen, if I don't cry about something, I don't even talk about the podcast at this point. So that's what I've been up to. And like 10 other animes, but I can't talk about everything. Plus, they were all pretty good.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about, and maybe not a lot of crying at the end of them, so I'm not talking about them.
Have you ever actually written home about something? Has anybody ever done that? Have you ever just played a video game and, man, I'm going to write home about that?
As in, like, text my mom, be like, Mom, this video game was really, really good.
I just imagine actually sitting down and writing a letter. No, you get yourself some notebook paper, some nice stationery, and you write a little letter about it. You write home about it. It's a phrase that I always found funny because I imagine it every time. Every time it's like, the graphics of this game are nothing to write home about. I'm like, well, I'm going to write home about just the graphics of Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I went, Mom, you have to see the ending of Xenoblade 2. It's to write home about.
Mom, let me tell you about Symphogear. Symphogear is something to write home about.
Dearest brother, the follow-up, finally, after all these years, the follow-up to Den Coil from the creator of, from the original creator, director, and writer. It's the first thing they've worked on together. I know, I was astounded as well. However, unfortunately, it isn't really something to write home about, and then you just pick up the letter and throw it in the trash.
I just actually wish I had family I cared about that I could write a letter home to sometime, just to do, just like play something. Yeah, I'd write home about this, and then just actually do it and see the kind of reaction I get unprompted.
Stupid.
It is really stupid. Rhett, I need you to write your mom a letter about Symphogear and mail it.
Yeah, it's also weird from... Where am I going to mail it to? I'm just going to put it in the mail.
Go, like, write it out to your address.
And then go to the mail.
Same return address, too. Same return address. And then mail it to your mom. But just drop it off in a mailbox and then have it delivered. And then your mom will get the letter about Symphogear. I think this is a fun idea.
This is so silly.
It's just that goddamn phrase that always gets me every time somebody says, I have blah, blah, blah to write home about. I was like, God damn it. I always imagine somebody just sitting down with a quill pen. Just in that tone John used. Dearest brother. Huh?
Thank you for the gift of you, Polly.
I do my best.
Polly just desperately trying to save me monologuing about anime.
You did a good job. We all did good.
So, Polly, you got anything else in there for us?
Got a video game.
Another one? You played three? Jesus.
I played video games, man. I do that sometimes. I played a couple of games that, like, one I'm in the middle of, and I'm not probably going to talk about it until probably next episode. I started Tales of Arise yesterday, and I'm like 8.5 hours in 2 days, so something's got to be working, right? And I played about the first 4 hours of Chris Tales and was like, I'm never playing this again. So
that one really irked you.
That one got under my skin just because, man, you know what? Don't put timing shit in a video game if it's not going to be right. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. It's got fucking, like Super Mario RPG kind of attacks where you press a button to attack again, and then the timing windows are so dumb that it's just like, dude, stop it. This feels terrible. This game feels like I am like literally wading in water. Like I don't feel like anything I'm doing feels good. You got a great concept, video game.
It's gorgeous. Holy crap. I'm looking at the pictures on Steam.
Like, it's got a great fucking premise where, like, everything on the right-hand side of the screen is taking place in the future. Everything on the left-hand side of the screen is taking place in the past. And everything in the middle is taking place in the now. And that applies to battle as well.
Wild.
Yeah, so you could, you could throw water on an enemy in the past and then toss them to the future, and they'll rust.
Cute.
It does shit like that, cute. But that game feels terrible, and I would not advise playing it. I got it for $10 at GameStop.
Oh, good.
And it was brand new. It was brand new, by the way, still in the package. So
it is $40 on Steam.
And I didn't even remember. Oh wait, this is in my fucking Epic Games library. I got it for free. So I still ended up giving them $10 for it. Son of a bitch. But those are not the video games I played. I played a video game that I finished called The Cruel King and the Great Hero. So this game is very much framed as sort of a fairy tale RPG story. It's like that there was once this great hero and he battled a dragon. It's a demon king and he triumphed. However, instead of killing the demon king, he cut off one of his horns and let him live. And over the years, like the former demon king and the great hero, they became friends. And that's wholesome. And at some point, the great hero suffers a fatal wound. And in his final moments, he asks this demon king that he's become friends with to look after the daughter that he had just had because wants him to raise. He wants this former demon king to raise his daughter. So you play as Yu. Her name is Yu, Y-U-U. Now is the great hero's daughter, And it's her dream to grow up and become a great hero like her dad. And in order to do that, she wants to slay the Demon King. However, she doesn't know that the dragon that's raised her ever since she was a little girl, she doesn't know that like the demon, like that her dragon daddy is actually the Demon King. And like everybody around like the palace has been told, you don't fucking tell her. And it's very cute. And the game plays out like this cute little story of you like growing up with monsters. Like she grew up with monsters all her life, so she's like never actually been around humans, and they lean into that a little bit, and it's really cool when she actually meets a human for the first time and stuff. And she sets about an adventure to become a great hero herself, because she just like she wants to be a great hero, like, but first she's got to start out by just doing nice things for people, helping anyone in need, and like the game kind of works you through that. From like, you know, helping people do just things around town, and she eventually gets pulled into the much bigger and more involved goings on, and it's all very, very charming. It's a very well told fairy tale adventure, so and it's exactly the kind of heartwarming you want from this. This like the story for this game really did hit me in the feels. Like it really did get me in the end. It's really nice. It's just a really nice story, and it's amazingly charming. Like this, the art style, the music, they're so ridiculously spot on. Like it all looks and sounds like a storybook. Like it's just this very nice, soft, watercolory look to it, and everything like looks and feels really hand animated. And I think the peak of the charm of this game is how it handles Yu's innocence. Like, she doesn't have like any kind of magic or special powers or anything herself. She just hits stuff with sticks and swords. Great, which is a great class, by the way. Best class that you could play. But like in a lot of the backgrounds, like when you're out adventuring, like when she goes out to go on adventures, like and in battles, you can see the Demon King lurking about in the backgrounds, keeping an eye on her. So when she does a special move, she'll like hold her sword in the air, and then like he will pop out of the background real quick and breathe fire on the sword, and she'll be all proud of herself, and then do the attack. And they really lean into this to conceit as well, because like when he's not around and she lifts her sword up to do the attack, she doesn't get the fire element on it, and she just looks at it and just goes, and it just does the attack anyway. Like, it's that kind of shit. It's like, oh my god, game, you're giving me diabetes. Stop it. It's absolutely adorable. But it is this is literally baby's first RPG. Like, this is like, if you are like talking to a child, maybe, or somebody that's maybe like maybe a little too young to get into something more nuanced, like a Xenoblade or something, and you want to give them something to kind of like, oh hey, here's very simple. Like, this game is so simple that like, all the maps are literally left and right. Like the way the maps go, like the only way you navigate in this game is left or right.
Is there literally no other? Is the entire game is one line?
The entire game, like, it's not one line, because like I don't know if anybody here played Odin Sphere Life Through Zero or not, with how those maps work, where like one room, like where you exit the left, but like on the map you'll go like up.
Okay, I was thinking of Muramasa, so it's probably similar to that.
Yeah, it's something like that, where like, so you get into these, but they're just like long hallways. There's not a lot going on in them. They're very pretty, but there's just not like, there's not much navigation here. Combat is very, very, very simple, very turn-based. Like, just, you know, make your numbers bigger, make your attacks bigger. You know, Chapter 4 was weird for me. Because for some reason the game gets incredibly weirdly difficult, where like, so like for the first 3 chapters, you get a companion who is at your level, to be with you, and they got their own special moves and stuff. But the thing is, it's like, oh, like they're a viable party member. You know, you get them, you it's easy to roll through those dungeons and like, you know, fight the bosses and everything. But in chapter 4, they give you a character who starts at level 1. And you're fighting enemies that are tuned to you being like level 18 or 19. And the problem is that these enemies can attack your new character and kill her in one hit until she's like level 7. And it took me literally an hour and a half to get this character to be viable in combat, and
no,
real bad.
Oh no.
Yeah, it made me real butt mad. And I hated this chapter. Because it's just miserable. It's literally just a dice roll. Like, and like if the character's dead at the end of combat, she doesn't get experience, which I don't even know why that's a thing in this game. I don't know why characters just don't always get experience, because even games that are much harder and much more nuanced than this game still have like systems where even if characters are dead, they still get EXP. Like, I don't know why that wasn't a thing in this game. That feels like a really big oversight, because for me, this just bogged the fucking game down to a halt.
Yeah, it just seems like a really weird call.
Yeah.
And it seems like something you pick up on playtesting pretty easily.
What you would think. But yeah, it just kind of, I got to that point and it's like, oh, like, and I was like really good first impression. Like, I'm 10 hours in, having a good time, and then and I'm telling Twitter all about the good time I'm having, and literally 20 minutes later, I hate this fucking game.
The poly Twitter experience.
That is the poly Twitter experience of playing video games.
That is definitely the poly Twitter experience.
Yeah, the live play Twitter experience for me is always a fun thing, I think.
I enjoy it a lot.
It's a roller coaster, believe me. But
I like getting those feelings kind of raw as they happen.
I try to be as nuanced as I can, because I want. It's like, I'm not bitching because the game's hard. Because that's not what I'm trying to get across here, is that, oh, I don't like it because it's hard. It's like, no, here are things I think are badly designed about it. Here, like, I want it to be reasoned, you know? I don't like people that just say shit sucks online and that's their only fucking judgment about it. That's all they can tell you. So I want to be able to tell you in a lot of words why this feels mechanically bad right now. But thankfully the game pulls up after that. Like, just chapter 4 is a rough experience. And like, it's got a satisfying conclusion, a real satisfying group of final boss fights. Like, it's got a good climax. This game is totally fine. I don't think that it blew me away in the way that, like, I had been led to believe that it might. But like, the story and charm are definitely on point. I just think that, like, if you are an experienced RPG player and you want any kind of meat on the bone, you're not gonna get it, because, like I said, all the navigation is like back and like left and right. All the side quests are bad fetch quests, and they are required for the true ending, which I did not get. I looked at it and it was just like, wait, all of the quests are this fucking bad. And it's bad because they make you backtrack as far as they possibly can in the most fucking annoying ways possible, where like they've put the fast travel point in, but the part that you need to go back to is still so far away from the fast travel point that it just feels awful to slog back, because random fights are still happening. And then the enemies might not always drop the items you need, and that is something that I will never fuck. Like, I will always say, oh, okay, your design here is bad. If you give me a quest that requires a specific item, and that item only has a small chance to drop for an enemy, you have made a bad quest.
You have made an enemy of me.
Yeah, you have made an enemy of me. Like, oh, yeah, okay, you've just given up. If that is your quest design in your video game, you just hit the quit button.
Especially when it's something you have to do to get like a story progression.
Yeah,
like, that's rough.
I just looked up the extra stuff, and it wasn't even worth it. It was just an epilogue where you can walk around and talk to NPCs. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really missing that much.
Cool.
Yeah, like the Cruel King and the Great Hero, it's fine, but again, like if you play more meaty RPGs, this probably isn't going to do much for you, despite the fact that it's got a really great and cute framing and everything. It's got all that stuff, but ultimately, you know, you could probably skip this.
You sound a little warmer. You sound a little warmer now than you did the first time around. It feels like you got a little bit more to nice things to kind of
absolutely like
this
game's charm and especially you as a character, fantastic. Like, and I said, I really love the climax of the game. I think it's really, really well done. The way that they cap that story off is also just really, really well done. Like it's like they do a lot of good things. It's just the game that you have to play to see all of these things is just not the most fun thing in the world, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the Cruel King and the Great Hero.
Cool.
Hey, John! All right, everybody. John, I do believe you've got to... You're going to send some people home.
No. Let's delay things a little bit. I played a nice itch.vn.
Oh, yeah?
Actually. And it kind of fits in with the segment. But it's called Dead Girl's Notebook. Okay. I played this, and it's just... it's kind of a jam game. It was made like over a pretty compressed time period while being like a 2-hour game. So like, I think that's good to understand going into it, because that can help. Because like it was sort of made as like 10 sort of as like an anthology of like 10 smaller stories. But like the way it all came together, this is a personal story about basically like being in college and discovering and like falling in love with somebody, but not communicating it, and being gay and getting into kink. And also while also having a bunch of like magical realist elements to it. I thought it was just like extremely cute. I had a really nice time with it, and a couple other friends played and had a good time with it too. So I put that in the chat. I think the ending it's probably too saccharine. It's probably too sweet. But like, I feel like there's a level of too sweet ending where it like kind of retroactively wrecks it for me. And then there's ones where it's just like, it is nice. It's still nice.
Bad End Theater.
Yeah, I was thinking Bad End Theater. This fell on the other end of the line from Bad End Theater. For me. So I liked it. I thought it was really cute. It's also comically inspired by Higurashi. It's got so much Higurashi energy.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah. This is something I kind of thought of. I like that I've been playing multiple itch.vns lately that have that kind of lineage, specifically ones that even pull from When They Cry. And it feels nice, because I think that sometimes these sorts of communities can get a little insular, where everybody's making sweet queer itch.vns, and the games we're being inspired by are other sweet queer itch.vns.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I've got nothing against that tone, and I got nothing against that community, obviously, but like, I'm just over them.
Yeah, that's me and a lot of RPG Maker stuff is like, all right, it's a horror adventure game where you go around and there's jump scares, and it's a Yume Nikki like where you explore Dream World. That's cool. And I'm like, enjoy playing other games. They're like, hey, this is inspired heavily by Paladin's Quest or whatever, just like some weird old shit. Having a little more history to kind of the new traditions, I think, is something that I like a lot. I never plot out how I want to talk about these things.
Are we in it?
I think we're in it.
Are we in it? Okay.
I want to talk about some aerogaze. Actually.
All right. If you don't want to listen to somebody talk about games with the pussy and the penis,
I think it goes a little further than that.
And a lot further than the pussy and the penis, maybe.
I'm gonna read part of the warning from one of the games. This game contains extreme expression, and then extreme expression is in bold. It may cause discomfort or offense, so please take cautions. All violent and illegal acts depicted would be subject to just punishment under the law if carried out in real life. Absolutely do not emulate them.
There you go. So if you want to duck out
that's okay.
of this episode, we understand.
Mm-hmm.
And we will.
This isn't our first rodeo here.
This is
happens
not
every
our
6
first,
months for years now.
Yeah, we've done this before. Well, like I literally talked about an Arrowgay like the first of the year. So
there you go. What was yours?
Mine was mine was the weird yandere one that was kind of weak.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Just didn't do it. Just didn't do it.
All right. Well, I think earlier in the week I started getting a little bit brain poisoned because there was not just that I'm playing and enjoying Arrowgaze for basically like 2.5, 3 weeks straight and very little else, but also that there was like a lot of shit coming out where like a YouTuber made a history video about some Arrowgaze. I think Speedy Noel, and it got taken down by YouTube, even though it was heavily censored and thoroughly educational. Some more stuff with Steam banning a commercial release from Nitro Plus.
Yep.
That's not even porn.
Not even porn! Yeah. And the other games in this series are on Steam!
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the level of contempt that corporations have for like 18 plus adult expression.
Yeah.
And also just racism towards Japanese games in general.
Oh yeah, like it's like a lot of it is
all of them in that
up
broad brush.
They don't say it, but the fact that it happens so consistently with Japanese games, there is a Japanese bias and there is racism involved. You will not back me down from it.
10,000%. Yeah, absolutely. So I started getting kind of like, it's actually heroic that I'm playing these games. It's actually heroic that I'm talking about friends with these games, and I kind of, and I just get on weird brain spirals sometimes because these games get gnarly.
Oh yeah, they do.
These ones in particular, and I just think, and I had to think about like there's some friends that post about Arrowgaze on Maine, and they have a good time. And it's like, do I want that? Because like these have become an increasingly large part of like my media diet for the last 3 years now. Mm-hmm. There's something I really like and I'm enjoying learning about the history of. And I think that my boundary is just like, these aren't really conversations I want to have with that many strangers. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's not out of, I think that it's morally wrong to play these games or for them to exist. I think porn is great. I think I especially admire friends who are coming out with erotic works like that. The Dead Girls Notebook game has some kind of Arrow content, and then the creator has explicitly made other games about exploring like masochist feelings as a queer woman, and I think that's fucking dope as hell. Tom putting out another Chorus game later soon. I think that kind of exploration is really cool and positive. And I also feel like corporations having the weapons that corporations use to punish creators of adult works are always going to fall disproportionately on minority creators, whether that's queer creators or like racial minorities, like Japanese developers. Yep. Like, I think that just goes into like the broader conversation of like criminalizing sex work, criminalizing adult stuff, and then using that to just try to legislate queer people out of existence. Because for a lot of folks, that's the way of surviving. Yep. So I feel a kinship. To me, it's all just tied together. The whole machine of hating adult art and then hating queer people and hating queer art and hating minority art. It's all part of like the big fascist machine of like, if we can control how people fuck, then we can control everybody. Then that's all we need. So anyway, I played a game where you get sexually enslaved and you have to fight in a coliseum to try to rescue yourself from being enslaved at the coliseum. It's called Crimson Coliseum. It's on Manga Gamer. I'm going to post this one in our chat. I'm not going to post it elsewhere. Yeah, gotta love Manga Gamer. So this is actually by Kagura Games, which I thought was a developer because that's how it's labeled on the site, but they are actually a publisher. Mm-hmm. And they basically just publish a shit ton of RPG Maker stuff. And I've sampled a few of these before, and a couple of them, like I played one where you are a girl trapped on a desert island. Mm-hmm. In order to escape, you have to breed with all the different monsters on the island. And I was impressed with a lot of the mechanics and theming, but it wasn't really my thing so much. This resonated with me more. Because this is essentially a game where you are, it's a whole game built around 8 boss fights. Like everything in the game is about getting to the end of these, winning these Colosseum battles, and so you're essentially like trying to build up your strength so that you can take on the next boss. And the whole game takes place over 20 in-game days, so you have everything you can do that raises your power takes up time. And the game world changes depending on what time of day it is. So there's so much just density to like exploring the different areas on different kinds of day, making your character stronger, finding all the ways to make your character stronger, because getting money takes time. Leveling up your stats takes time. All so that you can get strong enough to beat the next boss. There's a big custom battle system because it's one-on-one battles, and it has this very cute skill system where you put skills onto a six-sided die, and then you roll. Instead of using your skills, you can either attack or you can roll the die. And healing is a skill, attacking is a skill. So the way it plays out is like you're not so much concerned about moment-to-moment strategy. You're concerned about how your probability placement on the die plays out over the course of the battle. Yeah. So like I had multiple battles near the end game where I lost when I had like 3-3 physical attack to healing ratio on the die, and then I won when I did 4-2.
Oh, nice.
So it's really clever. Like a bunch of people complain. I saw reviewers complaining about it. I liked that. I loved that you were having to. I love that you were having to like plot around the random chance, and then it led to like some really tense moments where like I'm getting hit, and then I just keep not rolling the healing over and over and over out of pure chance, and then I finally get it like right at the end, and I didn't feel like the randomness actually screwed me over at all, except for maybe like the last couple battles. In which case it was still fun. If you just kind of strategize about it, I think it's really clever and classy. And you get to the end, and there's a whole fucking final boss, multi-phase final boss. The final boss changes the battle music halfway through. There's bosses that are set up ahead of time. And there's a new game plus feature, so you can just start from the beginning with your stats, maintaining your stats. So if you just want to play it as kind of brain dead grinding game, you can do that. That's allowed. I beat it without using the new game plus at all, and I felt very, very pleased with myself about that. Because
nobody's better at the porn game than John.
Objection.
And the smut. I really dug the smut. I dug the smut a lot.
Do you get the smut for losing or winning?
Losing, of course. Oh, losing. When you beat,
that's bad game design.
I think there is a give up button. Oh, you can just instantly take 9,999 damage at the start of a fight.
I mean, why not? Sometimes you just got to get to cranking it.
Yeah, I mean
Sometimes your luck is just too good.
That's obviously the game here, is because in order to play these games, when this was like 10 hours long, this is a beefy RPG here, but obviously you need to plan around physical limitations of the body while enjoying these games.
This reminds me of when I played Soteki no Kanojo no Tsukurikata. I played good enough to just get I skipped all the bad endings somehow. And that's where all the shit was.
Oh my god, that's so good. For a handful of the ending, I got all endings and all CGs. For a certain handful of them, I needed to look at a guide. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I needed a guide for, just getting to the true end, was there's a couple of like very hidden events you need to trigger to get the true end. The normal ending was all right, but the true end is definitely what you want to see. So that's, I think, just you can't miss anything, I think, except for the true end triggers if you're trying to beat it on your first playthrough. So you can just Google, it's like, do this on day 7, do this on day 15, you're good. So I had a good time. This is my first RPG Maker, like long form RPG Maker smut game I think I played all the way through.
Right.
So, hopefully many more to come.
Many more to come.
And then, finally. So last year I played a Venicle and Kichikuo Rants.
Yep.
And it was always going to return to the world of Alicesoft, because they are 30-year anniversary era game makers.
Yep.
As it says at the start of this game. And I had 3 paths ahead of me. I had 3 paths of darkness I could go down. I could play Rant 6, because that's the next big beefy game after Kichikuo. I'm very excited about that one. I think it's because like I finished the classic era and now I have the modern era, and the modern era is the one people really, really like, actually. And I still haven't touched any of those. I haven't touched Sengoku Rants. That's the one that got really big on chan sites and made Rants a big thing in the States. And I haven't, and then Venicle 2, because Venicle 1 is easily better than any Xeno and Trails game.
Right.
And the best RPG of the last year, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I had an extremely good time with it. And it was fun watching Maple play. I don't know if I should say people's
of all the people I think you could have named, I don't think that Maple's going to be the one that cares. You mentioned that they played a porn game.
Yep, they played all of Venicle 1 and then played all of Venicle 2. Venicle 1 is on Steam. Venicle 2 is not.
Wonder why.
Completely arbitrarily.
Weird.
Crimson Coliseum is on Steam, and it's in a butchered, censored version.
Sure,
just ruined, no doubt. So, and then that was the second path. And then the third path was to play Dona Dona, the game they released in 2020 that miraculously got a translation into English almost immediately. There's a point last year where they announced like they put out Rants Quest, which is Rants 8. And they put out, and then like weeks later, they put out Dona Dona just out with no announcement. It was,
wow.
It was beautiful. It made me so happy. They announced an English translation for Rants 03. That was the only remaining Rants game that hasn't been translated to English. That's the remake of 3. And I loved Rants 3. I'd love to play I love Rants 1, the remake. I'd love to play the Rants 3 remake. So happy. I love Alicesoft so much. And Dona Dona is the most fucked up Alicesoft game I've played.
Oh no.
I think. It's weird because there's actually not a lot of non-con in it so far. Mm-hmm. Almost to a disappointing extent. But just like premise-wise, this is a game, this is mechanically a game about sex trafficking.
Yeah.
It is a game where the vibe of it is completely bouncy and nice.
It's so fucking bizarre.
It's so cute and funny. It looks like Persona.
Yeah.
It has like like jazzy vibes.
It's got this jazzy vibe. The menus are very clearly inspired by Persona 5. It's just like, what am I looking at?
Extremely inspired by Persona 5. Or extremely inspired by Persona, except infinitely better than Persona, obviously. This is Alisoft here. And like Crimson Coliseum, this is one where you are managing resources over a long stretch of time and in-game days. So this is basically alternating between a very kind of streamlined dungeon crawler, where you're exploring these dungeons and getting resources and progressing the story. And then the battle system is very cute. Apparently, multiple people said this looks like Darkest Dungeon. Yeah. And I looked at footage and it's like, this does look like Darkest Dungeon. I've never seen Darkest Dungeon. Maybe I should play Darkest Dungeon. Is it as good as this?
This is probably way better.
It's probably way better. And the combat is really fun. It's all based around positioning. You have like 10 characters by a ways in, but only 4 can be in combat at once. Or maybe, I think it was 4. But you can instantly swap between any character. It doesn't use any resources. It doesn't use your turn. So you're in practice, you are using everybody all the time. And I really appreciate that.
A real labyrinth of Toho going on here.
Yeah. I love the cast so far. There's a great sword girl who's very serious, but then who's a very serious, murdery sword girl for a gang, but then she realizes she has feelings for the main character. The main character is this cold, calculating accountant who's the only one in charge of managing the sex trafficking part of the build of your gang. Mm-hmm. And all of the girls have a crush on him, and he's just completely cold. Not the trafficking ones. All the girls in your party have a crush on him, and he's just completely cold about it.
Yeah.
So it's a very different fantasy from Evenical or Rance. He almost it seems like he's not even enjoying himself most of the time. It's kind of funny. And the number crunching, and so it's between the dungeon crawling, and then it's between all the sex trafficking stuff where you're managing people's stats, managing looks, technique, mental state. If their mental state gets too low, they become broken, and then they're not really useful anymore, and you can't undo that. Managing contraception, pregnancy similar, and then so you every day you can use up a day to go to either hustle or go to or hunt, because you can collect the girls like Pokemon in the dungeons.
Yeah,
it's very good. So this is the most fun you can possibly have with making numbers go up, I think, in the world.
Yeah, that's what else? There's no other way to have fun. This is the way to go.
There's other ways to have fun making numbers go up. This is the most fun you can have making numbers go up in a video game. The systems are the most horny part of this for me.
Wow, Noisy Pixel reviewed this, and they're kind of mainstream.
Weird. This is like, again, a lot of the porn is pretty basic. Mm-hmm. Even compared with like Evenical. But the systems themselves are extremely hot. And that's sort of a weird experience, I think. So I'm having a lot of fun. This will probably show up on the Game of the Year list. I think the thing that makes me, I think I would feel better going into the segment and going into it in general. Like, I think this one, even compare with like Evenical and other Alisoft stuff, it just has too many of the main characters in your party look like kids, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's just like, it wasn't the case in the classic Alisoft stuff in the 90s. Like,
those were rarely ever went that way.
They rarely ever dipped into pedo shit. And then once you get to the 10s, like, that's a much more common theme. There's some good chunk of that in Evenical, and there's more here. There's probably the most of any Alisoft stuff I've played. So that's unfortunate. And I think that's why I still feel bashful going in here. Cause that's like, I can very freely talk about feeling defense. I can feel like I can morally defend non-con stuff all day.
Yeah.
Sex trafficking sim, that's fine. Who cares? That's all fun. That's all fun. The pedo shit's just gross.
Yeah,
and I don't really know how to talk about that.
Yeah.
So
wow, way to double standard.
Yep, I think I kind of broke my brain on the private Twitter, like trying to thread the needle on like how do I defend these games in my head from all this other bullshit, and then also acknowledge like, yeah, this sucks. It is just in kind of an intrinsic double standard of engaging with a lot of AR gays, because a lot of them have this shit and it sucks.
Like it's just kind of
playing
like
Nitro Plus VNs, playing a lot of it.
Yeah, like it's just kind of part of the spice that makes up that meal now.
But boy, the sex trafficking systems are very good.
Put that on the back of the box. The sex trafficking systems are very good.
Yep. So again, maybe one of the most fucked up ones I brought up on here. I think
pretty messed up.
It's pretty up there. I think I talked about Song of Saya a good ways back. That one's very messed up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's expression. This shit's messy and weird. But I'm glad that this is a space where I can chat about it.
We're all here to support one another in our various kinks. Hey man, so long as the sex trafficking systems are good and meaty, you know.
They're very meaty. Those are the best porn. Those are the best porn ones, because you on certain dungeons there are special girls who appear in battle with like a golden shine on them.
Oh,
and they're the ones that you can get, and then they have their own special.
They're the ones that will cry way more.
Mm-hmm. Good time. I needed to detox for several days. I was getting too arrogate brained.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I think sometimes.
Did you finish this one?
No, this long. This
was like a long term.
Hours.
Yeah.
Yep. But I got like 15 hours in. I think that the way to talk about these things is not to get fucking on a high horse about it.
That's the problem defensive. I usually run into with a lot of sex stuff, and it's just that's the attitude I run into, and then I just immediately tune out, because it's just you can't engage with those people. You can't. There's no way that you can talk about this stuff in a way that isn't their way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. All that stuff about the evil corporations and everything, like, yeah, that all sucks. On the other hand, like, these games got really big and popular on Chan sites over here. Like, that's how rants became a thing here. They got really big on 4chan.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of poisonous culture associated with this stuff.
Absolutely.
So, like, when you bring up rants, like, there's a bunch of people that are like, you're just a basic. I can't believe you're letting just a little bit of rape porn get in the way of enjoying these incredible, amazing RPGs. And it's like, fuck on, dog.
Can I say, when I was on 4chan back in, like, was it 2008 or whatever, on the JP board, and I would see these rant screenshots from Sengoku all the time, just like the menu and the world map, having no idea what it was. Like, they genuinely did seem like it was just about the game, which is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, the games are really good. The stories are really good. The systems are really considered. The production values are kind of wild for a lot of these.
There's just this little hurdle you need to know about.
We know that. We can enjoy that. I'm not going to, but I think telling people, oh, jump in, even if the porn bothers you, I think
there are other strategy games to play.
There are so many other video games you can play. There are a lot of grand strategy games, and there are a lot of other grand strategy games out there, and you don't know that because you only played the one with porn.
There you go.
And I know that because I'm in the same boat. So this week was a lot of thinking hard about, like, what's my relationship with these games? What's my relationship with wanting to talk about them? So There you go. That was my evil segment.
There you go. Required evil segment every 6 months.
Sockscast. Every 6 months or so. And that just like, I was about to say just like there's a Toho segment, but then I haven't actually had a Toho binge in a while, which is kind of sad.
I need to do. I want to know.
One just came out.
There is a streak that we're on that I want to know how long it goes back now, because I think that for a number of years, Falcom has appeared on this podcast in every single episode. And I think that they have been mentioned in passing or we have directly talked about their game. I think that there has not been an episode where Falcom's name has not been mentioned in at least 3 years.
I think you're probably right. I said about magical poppin' and unrelated Super NES.
I almost brought that up then. I literally almost brought that point up then.
Mm-hmm. Better than Trails.
Better than Trail. And again, like that's sort of what was like, yeah, like we cannot go an episode without Falcom or a Falcom reference making its way in. And I'll goddamn guarantee you it's 3 or 4 years long.
I think Red talking about going into Xenoblade 2 after a string of Trails games.
Oh, right. I did mention.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It is something that I have been thinking about for a long time. And I've never mentioned it, but you're going to notice it every fucking time. Great. Now.
Well, it'll be real easy once I get to Cold Steel 4. Gonna happen.
Yeah, that'll happen like next year when anime gets boring again.
Maybe someone is like, well, once I finish Xenoblade 3, then I can get back to the real shit of Cold Steel 4.
Right. It's a good game waiting for you, though.
I need to finish Xenoblade 3 so I can get back to Rant's Quest.
Yeah!
I love y'all the best. Yeah. That's my segment.
Yeah. So that, I do believe, is another one in the can. So I want to thank everybody for listening and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for downloading. It is always very much appreciated. John Thayer, tell the internet folks at home where they can find you.
Farawaytimes.itch.io and in PC on PC Gamer.
Yeah, in PC Gamer. It's on the website now, so you can look it up. John's linking it as we speak. I knew that was going to happen.
It's the micro RPGs offering new perspectives on the genre's overstuffed epics.
There you go.
That's not at all related to some of the games we talked about here.
Yeah, it actually did, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Brett, where can the internet find you?
MyAnimeList.net. Watch more anime.
There you go. That's all you need to do. And you can find me at twitch.tv/Polyhead, where I do various VTuber stuff. And that's where this podcast airs. And I'll probably be doing a stream or two this week. I think I want to play some games. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And we will catch you again in another few weeks. So thanks for coming by. Thanks for downloading. And remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you.
That's an episode to write home about.
That is an episode to write home about. I'm going to act like Poncho Smith
got a good cackle out of me right
Poncho Smith said specifically in chat that I could send him letters when things are good. If that motherfucker thinks I'm not going to do it, I'm actually going to start sending him handwritten letters about, hey, this is something to write home about. So that's what I'm going to do at some point. I'll have to get his address again, I think. But
gosh.
All right, let's see who's streaming so I can get us out of here. All right, you know what? It looks like our good pal Twintail Nami is doing the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past randomizer. So we're gonna send everybody on over there to boom. I think that's it. Did I type it right? Show up. Yeah, that looks good. All right, everybody. We will be talking to you next time. I'll see you during a stream at some point in the next week, I'm pretty sure. Take it easy, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.